for that. With Pure Talk, you get to choose how much data you actually want. For just $25 a month, enjoy unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data plus mobile hotspot. Stop overpaying and switch to Pure Talk today. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk to switch and save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk for an additional 50% off.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, Friday Hose, that's what that is what is floating around here.
We worked so hard to get here, and now that we're here, we sell out for it.
That's right. Gosh. Yeah, it used to be Tuggo, now it's Tuggo.
Yeah. So listen to all you Johns and Janes, this is it for the week.
That's right. Wrapping this thing
We're
up.
done working.
We are finished.
Yeah.
We're
You have to
finished.
find some other hose this week.
That's exactly right. We got no time for you. Ain't nobody got time for that. I remember. I watched that little news report with that lady. That it's about 10 or 15 years ago. Dude, that's still the funniest thing in the world. Like it stands up. It holds the test of time.
Was that what was it over?
So the lady was being
something else.
No, it was her apartment. It was well before. Yeah, it was like 15 years ago. It was the lady. Her apartment had burned down.
Oh, that's right. It was the fire.
And
that's
she was,
right.
oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
It's a fire.
I didn't grab my shoes, nothing, Jesus. I just ran for my life. She was like, I woke up, I thought somebody was barbecuing.
That's right.
So
I ain't got no time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. And then somebody made a song. That's kind of the first one that where like people took a news story and made a song, or at least the first one that I remember and that blew up.
Yeah,
that was everywhere.
That's a good one.
Well, there's always the, again, you had the leprechaun in Alabama. And that one went ahead and did it from trying to get the gold.
Yes, that's right. That was nuts. That was not far after that. It was not long after that one, too.
We had this whole run of if you had a viral news story, it had to become a song.
Yeah. Did they not make one out of the I Like Turtles kid? And how they not, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing one to be completely
That might have
honest.
been like 20 years ago now, though, right?
Yeah, but that was a good one, too.
I Like Turtles.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then what's the one was like, lock up your mamas and your sisters or wives?
That was over the rapes that were going on in Huntsville, Alabama.
Is that the Y'all So Dumb dude?
Yeah, Y'all So Dumb.
Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So dumb.
There it was.
Yes, that guy. But there was a good run where like news stories were. Have y'all seen this one? This is one that got me tickled.
The Hatchet guy too. They made a song out of that, right?
Kai
the Hatchet
that
guy.
ended up getting a Netflix documentary on how he went from being the friendly guy with the hatchet that saved a couple of women to Kai accused of murder.
Good Lord. Yes, now that you say it, I remember. Did y'all see there was a great story down in Florida, and this was after Milton came through, and there was a Channel 6 reporter, and he was, from the Action News, so he was down there doing his reporting, and he went up because he saw two people that were fishing in a flooded out street. Huh. And he was like, "Are y'all fishing?" And the guys were like, "Yeah, man." And you could hear just in the distance, and it get louder and louder. And as he's interviewing these guys, he's like, "Is there a lawnmower coming up behind us?" And they're like, "Yes, there is. There's nothing more American than that." Because this dude was driving his lawnmower through the flooded waters.
That's awesome.
It was so great. It was just how peculiar the whole thing was. Just anyway, I love stories. I love stuff like that. Did you see any of the Al Smith dinner? Because
yes, I did.
Yeah,
Donald Trump's speech was amazing. Dude, I just sat and giggled to myself. It was awesome.
I laughed so hard. When he said that, he's finally at a place in New York without having to have a subpoena. I lost it. I lost it. I
That
mean,
was
it was
really
just,
well done.
Oh, it was so good.
He's brilliant.
I mean, it's supposed to be a self-roast.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is that you're supposed to make fun of everybody around you. You're supposed to be lighthearted, and it's supposed to be both candidates. And again, it's a Catholic-based organization that ends up hosting it. And so he goes after Kamala Harris in kind of like a lighthearted,
Very
funny
lighthearted.
way.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
at the same time, man, he's got Chuck Schumer like 2 feet away from him, like right to his left.
And Chuck was a good sport about it,
He
too.
was a great sport about it because he continues to basically tell him, man, I gave him checks.
Yeah,
Like,
I was the
gave
first
him
person. He
checks.
said,
He's
I was
like-
the
he's like-
first person.
He's like, and now he can't say what a woman is. It's like, it's
So
just
funny.
so funny the way he went after
He
him.
said, I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live. That'll be a very short gig, Jim, but it was fun. So good. Dude, he just hits it out of the park. He's
Every
just,
time.
He's freaking
Well, he's-
hysterical.
He's mentally, cognitively declining.
Well, that's right.
He's too old for this. He can't speak. He can't, he freezes up. Now, the lies that the left continues to tell, they're so afraid of him that they have to continue to make up lie after lie after lie. He was great last night. He was fun last night. He was fun in the barbershop yesterday. They loved him in the barbershop yesterday.
So cool.
He had a blast. And he's just sitting there in the chair and they're just making jokes back and forth. Like he was warming up in a barbershop. And then he goes out there and he just did a great job. And, on the other side, Kamala Harris is so afraid of religion and so scared of anybody else that doesn't think her way. That
or
she sends it-
extemporaneous speaking, getting in front of people and making jokes.
So what'd she do? Sends in a really cringy video.
So dumb.
By the way, Jim Gaffigan, and I ended up tweeting this out last night, and here was the quote that he ended up pointing out here because the audio's a little bit out there. He says, the Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they're so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. I was like,
I had no idea Jim Gaffigan was this way. By the way, I knew he was one of the cleanest comedians
That's
out
right.
there. I think he's a really funny
Yeah, he
guy. I've always enjoyed his comedy, but I had no idea. I thought he was far left.
Oh, no, he is.
Oh.
He's bothered by the fact that 14 million voters voted for Joe Biden, went down this road, and then what has gone on from here? He's no Trump fan.
Okay.
Flat out, he's no Trump fan.
I didn't think so.
He's more bothered by what
The threat
is
to democracy.
happening within the party.
And he's got good reason to ask that question. I understand why. If the roles reversed and it happened on our side, I'd be like, hang on. Wait, we're doing what?
Yeah.
We're doing what? Some of the other jokes. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck. Considering how woke your party has become, if Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. Dude, Chuck is great. And Chuck, it's just the look of, he wasn't sure whether he was supposed to laugh. He wasn't sure when he was supposed to react and push back.
Yeah.
Like there was one point where Chuck Schumer, Trump's talking about how Kamala's just going to get, he's going to wax the floor with her. And Chuck's shaking his head no, and Trump gives some gouge, and Schumer just kind of shakes his hands like like you're the victor in a fight. So it was funny because I got to tell you, I spent more time watching the video. I watched Chuck Schumer more than I even watched Trump. I was listening to Trump, but watching for Schumer's reactions.
I feel really good about saying that Donald Trump has become 60% politician, 30% showman, 10% stand-up comedian. And the 10% was on display last night.
Good.
It was
good.
well done. The way he delivered it, the pace at which he was going, the way that he made fun of himself, the way that, just as Rhino said, I did the same thing where he's like, it's nice to be somewhere in New York without having to be indicted. It's like, okay, you didn't get a subpoena to have to show up somewhere. That was funny. It's like he was poking a little bit fun at himself. And even as he went on through the dinner and he talked about, I'm supposed to make fun of myself, but I'm not. Now it's like that he went after everybody.
Well, but how about the reaction and discussion or speaking to, I guess I should say, Mayor Adams? He was like, Mayor Adams, I told you. When you spoke out.
You spoke
and
out.
They were coming to get you.
Here they go.
He was like, you're going to be all right. He was like, yours is small peanuts compared to the way they brought it against me.
Yeah. By the way, the New York Times, they see this totally differently.
Of
This
course
dinner
they
last
do.
night. So here's some of the things they say. Mr. Trump rushed through prepared remarks, stumbling at times as he read through pointed political jokes, bitter grievances, and crude at times profane personal attacks. He seemed most energized when he ditched his script. So, okay, well, there you go. Then on the other side, the vice president's absence robbed the event of some of its electricity. And both Mr. Trump and the event's master of ceremonies, the comedian Jim Gaffigan, mocked her for not attending.
As they should have. I wonder if this joke is the one that the Times was so upset about. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris.
Love this. This is great, too.
But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
That was brilliant.
You did this
That
in a Catholic.
was brilliant.
What a wonderful reduction.
So awesome.
That was the crude one, I think.
Yes, it had to be. I mean, that's the only one I could think of.
The other funny part is they make the comparison that, Harris isn't the first candidate to skip this event. Walter Mondale did. You remember how well he did as the Democratic nominee.
And Trump brought it up.
You remember President Mondale.
Yes. And Trump brought it up. He was like, it's going to go fine. It's probably going to go just like it did for Walter Mondale, the fact that she's not here.
The other thing I liked is that he did it by himself, and then she is so unprepared. She is so unlikable. She had to get Molly Shannon to come out and reprise her character of whatever the kids.
What's the one where she gets nervous
stinky
and
girl or whatever?
she gets nervous and smells her fingers or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to love that skit, but I mean,
so they had to do a comedy sketch event for Harris because she couldn't tell her she's not funny. She's not fun. She is just blah.
It was really funny to have him deliver the line where, again, Tim Walz is catching it. And Kamala Harris is catching it, even though they're not there. And traditionally, it's been everyone's there and they all make fun of each other. You have the line. Unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was.
No, I know, right? So good. So much there, and it's a fun thing. I
We'll grab some of these cuts. I had told Joe, grab some of them. We'll play them a little bit later, too,
for sure.
and have some fun with them.
Yeah, the funny part is that I got to tell you, I've never watched that before. I wasn't really really familiar with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not Catholic, and I guess
it's a very laid back roast, is what it is.
Yeah, but
like it's not like watching Comedy Central where it's how nasty can it get? It's more of kid gloves roasting. It's just when it's only one person.
Yeah.
In this case, it was so wonderful to basically have Donald Trump just on his own. You didn't show up, and so you created a viral moment by not showing up.
That's exactly right.
That's how relaxed, though, it shows me he is in this race for presidency. How he feels, how his team and campaign feel. Kamala Harris did not go and was campaigning in Wisconsin for a reason. She feels like she is going to lose this race and lose it badly. And I think even if she did show up, I think just like Fox News, it would have been a complete disaster. I think her video was a complete disaster. But they're scrambling right now. They know right now they're way behind and that there's a good opportunity for Trump to not only win this race, but win it in a very decisive fashion. So I think that says a lot about how relaxed he was yesterday.
He has zero anxiety, and I have zero anxiety. I really do have zero anxiety.
I'm glad you're coming around.
Welcome.
It mainly because I pray about it, y'all. That's the reason, because I know this is in the good Lord's hands. I got nothing to worry about. And it doesn't matter if he wins or not. I want him to win. I think that's what's best, for the country. But if that's not what's in God's will, I'm okay. I'm in the minority. You're in the minority. Lois, you're in the minority. Rhino, too. 61% of the country are having negative mental health issues because of this election. And it got me to thinking, y'all, that I really do think we have created, how we had the greatest generation in World War II? We've created the weakest generation of Americans of all time. Mm-hmm. And anxiety, like you're afraid the world's coming to an end or that somebody's going to be a dictator, is just silly. Our forefathers and that generation, our grandparents' generation, I really feel like they would be concerned about us. They would. I said embarrassing or embarrassed in my notes, and maybe not embarrassed, but they'd be concerned about us not being able to handle anything. And that's the way we've become as people. Yeah. We just can't handle anything.
No.
I think that the people on this show, we're a little bit different because we don't fret about things. we just do our best to make it better and have to let the cards fall where they may. That's the way I look at this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way, I've never been that upset about anybody losing. Even in 2020, was I upset that there was maybe some questions?
I think that's the difference for sure.
But I didn't go cry. I didn't throw things. I didn't light cities on fire. I didn't break windows. I didn't loot Apple stores. I didn't scream in the middle of the street. I've never had any kind of breakdowns. I don't really have anxiety over this election. I understand that some people do, and I understand why some people do, because some people, including Neil Bortz, who doesn't even like Trump, sees the other side of this and how this will destroy the Republic moving forward.
I get
so
it.
There is a little bit of anxiety that if they cheat, that's where my anxiety would lie.
Yeah.
It's not that Donald Trump isn't going to win this. Donald Trump should run away with this. It should be a landslide victory. There's no reason not to be. You have somebody who is so hollow on the other side and has no issues. This should be a runaway. So my only anxiety is towards the fact that I don't trust the election system.
I was crushed in 2020, and the reason why is because I felt like there was a totalitarian creep that was going on, partly tied in with COVID. And once you had the COVID Davidians at one, I went, wow, this is going to go to a whole other level. And it only took a few months before it was, all right, who's important, who's not, who can go to school and who can't. And so much of that, I think, ends up launching us into this era where getting free speech back and starting to talk about the things we should be, I'm just very optimistic about how, I firmly expect this is all going to go our way. But if it didn't, it's like, all right, cool, put your helmet back on and go to work. This is nothing like 4 years ago where we were on the precipice of losing the entirety of the country.
Life's tough, get a helmet. That is one of my favorite lines of all time. It was a good one, for sure. A judge strikes down the common sense election recount law. Janelle King from the State Election Board will respond next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10.
Mike, the engineer, says, based on the yard signs he's seeing, Kamala will finish third behind Donald Trump in garage sale.
I hope. The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
It's fall, y'all. And no matter what your family has on the plate, Subaru of Gwinnett has a vehicle for you. If you're headed to a game, then tailgate in style in the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester. It holds everything you need for the tailgate and keeps the most precious cargo, your family, safe. Maybe you're just taking a ride up to the mountains to see the leaves or driving to spend time with the family. Wherever you're headed this fall, the 2025 Subaru Outback shares your spirit with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and up to 32 miles per gallon. And we're proud to offer you so much more than a car buying experience. At Subaru of Gwinnett, we extend that saving to our amazing and reliable service department, where you'll get unmatched service and specials you'll love during our fall service event. Visit us on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and let us show you how our family can take care of your family. Or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
A musician with technical knowledge can play all the right notes. But one who cares enough to play from the heart gives music soul. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit Truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Hi, this is Bruce Hagen. And this is Matt Hagen. Hey, look, accidents happen, and that's when Hagen happens. And now, Hagen happens twice, because there's two of us.
We're here for you on what is probably your worst day, so that all the days ahead can be comfortable and taken care of properly.
We treat your personal injury case personally. You're not just a number to us. You're a human being, and we're going to treat you with the respect that you deserve.
Let us here at Hagen Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at Hagen-Law.com.
Hagen-Law.com.
I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but the cold air is coming fast. That means a couple different things to me and you. Energy bills will be rising and company coming over for the holidays. Dan Watkins here with all Four Seasons garage, entry doors, and windows. It's time to get your house ready for the winter air and your holiday visitors. The good news is that we have you covered for every opening in your home. So call us today to set up a free estimate with one of our amazing sales consultants. They'll help you pick out the perfect garage door, front door, and windows for your home.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Xtra 106.3.
Life takes a toll on all of our bodies. It's inevitable and part of growing older. Whether it's sitting for hours at our computers or working a physical job, our bodies pay the price. It's hard to accept, but at some point, the pain gives us no choice. Now, we can't turn Father Time back, but there is an effective way to turn back the clock on pain, and that is Relief Factor. It was developed by doctors, and Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. And the difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good, and it's 100% drug-free. If the pain that comes with living a full life is affecting you, do what I've done. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is $19.95, less than $1 a day. And when you feel good, it's amazing how much more you can get out of life. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. Try it for $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain with Relief Factor.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Friday, October 18th. Eternal Vigilance Action, an organization founded by former state representative Scott Turner, has filed an appeal against Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox's ruling that the state election board lacked the authority to pass new rules for the 2024 election. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley criticized the ruling as judicial activism, defending the rules as common sense measures that ensure election integrity. A Barrow County grand jury has indicted both 14-year-old Colt Gray and his father, Colin Gray, in connection with the mass shooting at Appalachia High School. After hearing over 2 hours of testimony, the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges and Colin Gray on 29 charges. An arraignment is set for November 21st. And in sports, the Cleveland Guardians won their first game of the ALCS with a 7-5 victory over the New York Yankees. New York holds a 2-1 lead in the series. Meanwhile, the Dodgers defeated the Mets 10-2 last night, giving them a 3-1 lead in the NLCS. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Xtra 106.3.
Morning Xtra with Tug, Rhino, and Los, and our guest, our favorite guest, as a matter of fact, Janelle King. How are you, ma'am?
I am wonderful.
It
Thank
is
you for having me.
Great to have you. It always is. And look, if you have any questions about anything that is going on with the Republican Party, the election, the Georgia State Elections Board, any question that you have for Janelle, she will answer them. She'll field them today at 404-741-1230. But Janelle, you were in court yesterday.
We were in court yesterday at 2 p.m. And it's fine. It's interesting. You know, the judge's ruling, 11-page ruling, came out within a matter of moments. You know, I mean, he's the fastest typer in the world.
Its word processing is next level.
Oh, it's next level. But yeah, I was just telling you that. I mean, the case started the hearing started at 2 p.m. By 6 p.m., I know Dr. Jan went and she was there in person, but by 6 p.m. she was at home on her couch. You know, we're with our attorneys, you know, talking to our attorneys. So I'm like, man, this is like the fastest turnaround on 7 rules I've ever seen.
They already knew. They already knew what they wanted to do and how they wanted to interfere and how they wanted to stop creating rules or protecting elections, because that's what this is about. This is about securing and making sure that everybody feels comfortable with our elections. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, doesn't matter if you're a Republican. When we look at the Georgia Constitution, the state election board is supposed to come up with rules, is supposed to figure out ways throughout the entire thing, and the General Assembly has said that, and that's what part of it is to figure out how we can make these safe and make everybody feel good. They're playing games with this, and look, I understand they're saying, hey, we got to have the General Assembly vote on that. That's fine. But that's laws. We're talking about rules. This is very confusing for a lot of people.
It's confusing for me, too, because, you know, when these rules go into a promulgating process, meaning we post them online for the public, they also go to our legislators' attorneys. So they have the opportunity to tell us, okay, nope, you're making law, or this is too much, this is outside of your purview. We don't have anything from them. They did not, no one responded. So I'm like, so now we have a judge that's telling us that we're doing something that their own attorneys didn't say we were doing, but this is where we are. So you know what? I mean, an appeal is coming. It has to.
Yeah.
Bringing in front office Los, we're talking about the ruling where, they say you cannot count the ballots.
I will tell you this, Janelle. I got a chance to do a little bit of a meeting with some of the Forsyth County Republicans, notably Senator Sean Still, who's going to be a guest on the show tomorrow, and then Tricia Hoyas, who's also been running for basically to represent our council here with our students. One of the things that everyone brought up in that room, probably about 20, 25 people, about 21, 22 had already voted. And so the idea that this is going to somehow be restrictive to early voting or to counting, or this is going to make things more difficult, clearly had not shown in Forsyth County in the first 48 hours of early voting.
Right. I mean, the rule was for Election Day. So, I mean, it would not have gone into effect as of right now. No one would be experiencing it. It doesn't affect the voter experience at all. And this is the hand count rule. And let me tell you why this is important. Because I recently found out, just to this morning, I got a phone call. And this is let's give a shout out, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the election director in DeKalb County, because the election director is doing a fabulous job from what I'm hearing. She's fabulous. So this is not a dig on her. She is following the procedures and the rules. But I was informed that there was a situation where there was a scanner that got jammed, and they called in someone to do the technical stuff. But in the process, they were asking people to just hand over their ballots, and they're putting it in a secured box, but they're not putting it in a scanner. Right. So you know how you get to see where the number changes? There are people who are not seeing that, and that's what I'm hearing. So we're investigating this. But this is a perfect example why you need a hand count rule at the end of the election day.
They are so afraid of it's funny, because if the roles were reversed, they'd be calling for all these plus some. Right? I mean, they would be, Democrats would be all over this. Stacey Abrams would want this. Yep. Every single person would want this.
She did.
Of course she did. And that was my point.
Yeah, back then,
This is what she's wanted. This is what Democrats wanted. But as soon as it takes away the ability to actually make sure everything is secure for some reason, and this is just my thought personally, is you want to cheat. If you don't want to count ballots and make sure they match up, then I'm going to tell you what. For every Democrat, I want you to give me $100. I'm going to give you $200 back. But we're not going to count what I give you back.
I mean, look, it's unfortunate that could happen, but I'm choosing to have faith in our election workers, whereas I don't have a lot of faith in our Secretary of State's office, but I do have faith in the people on the ground. I'm hoping that they will just simply do the right thing. We have poll watchers all over the place. We have attorneys all over the place. So I know the RNC is on the ground. So it is... we're doing the best we can.
They didn't give me security in these elections. Yesterday when I was at the poll, I kept looking at the machine twice, going, where are they going to go and put this in? You see the Dominion right on the top of it, and I'm like,
that doesn't feel nice.
And I'm looking, I'm like, there's a USB port. There's a USB port.
I had a very nice lady who, as I'm scanning my printout into the machine, she goes, "Okay, you voted." And I kind of looked at her. I was like, "Have I?"
Right. But Janelle, and I think a lot of people in the state of Georgia feel that same way. We want to believe, we want to trust. It's in our nature to trust,
right?
Because we've been taught that our system is the greatest system on earth, and it is.
It has to be.
But when it's not being manipulated. And right now, it feels like it's being manipulated at the deepest levels of our government and of just elections. It just doesn't feel right to me, man. And that's the thing that scares me to death, because I don't want people to lose that faith and just be like, I'm not going to go vote. Why would I? Doesn't matter anyway.
I know. Please don't do that. What we are telling people is to vote early. Vote early, because if these things that are happening, these election officials can now fix it and rectify it in real time when you have early voting. So vote early. Do not wait to the last minute. That's what we're telling everyone.
The reaction. So when you put up your advertisement, I should say, or marketing to that you're going to do this today, I had to sit back and read the comments from the left. The tolerant left, by the way.
Loving left.
They're so kind, aren't
they?
The
most hateful, disgusting, racist, misogynist, xenophobes that I've ever seen in my life, and the way that they can't have this conversation because they're such a cult that they don't even look into. Wait, we've asked for this for so long. We've asked for this and used race and everything else as an excuse of why we need ballots hand counted, why we need this done, why we need poll watchers, why we need this, and then they come and attack you.
I know. You know what? They're propagandized, right? So what I'm doing is I'm isolating my emotions towards people.
I don't know
because
how you do that. I really don't.
You have to.
I don't know.
You know what? Is as a believer, I have no choice. And when I look at this situation, what I see is you have people, voters that are on the ground who's not a part of the details of this. They don't understand the process. They don't know what we're dealing with.
Don't.
That is most people, right. And they're emotional. And so when I see these hateful comments and stuff, sometimes I try to respond and educate. Other times I let it be because it's like, they're propagandized and it's on both sides of the aisle. This is not just Democrats. The case that the judge turned out, the ruled on quickly was Republicans.
Judge McBurney.
Cox.
Oh, yeah,
Judge Cox. Yeah, McBurney.
Yeah.
We actually was like, you know what? Okay, he just said, let's not do it for this election. He also said these could be good rules. So we're okay with McBurney.
Yeah, sure.
But Cox, that was a concern of mine. But that case that he was listening to came from Republicans. That didn't come from Democrats.
Wow.
It came from Republicans.
The confusion, I think, is because if I'm getting it confused, because of how much it's bounced around and how much it's changed and how much it's went back and forth and the ruling fors and the ruling against. Yeah. We talk about it every day and I still bumble it up. Can you imagine what everyday Georgians and probably I would even say across the country because there's a lot of states having the same issues. You wonder why there's confusion. You wonder why that people are responding the way they do. It's because they don't know which way's up. They know something doesn't feel right. They know something isn't right. Yet they don't know what it is and they don't know how to figure it out.
I know. It's the chaos, right? It's almost like they want chaos, right? They want everyone confused, right? But that's like the number one, sign of propaganda, right? Is that to create this mass chaos. You got people on the ground fighting family members, but then when you look at the top, they're all working together. There are Republicans and Democrats working together to stop these rules. But on the ground, you can't even talk to your family member.
It's not fun. I don't want to say it's fun, but it is interesting to see how from the first day that we all kind of got together with Extra 106.3 and we brought you and Kelvin in and he's running for Senate and your feelings towards, this government is okay and everything else to where you are today and just the change in having to go and work and do, a government job in a way, even though you're not getting paid like, you would be if you were part of the military industrial complex. But now you're... Talk about how your opinion of what we've seen in 2020 now might have changed because of what you've had to deal with.
You know what? I will say that the outcome, I still don't know about the outcome, right? Because we're looking at the process. But what has changed is that my confidence in the process has shifted because I'm realizing that there's so many steps in place and that's supposed to create a checks and balance, but it's not. It's not really. And I get really concerned when we are out here trying to do our job because basically what we were just told is that we are to do nothing and we just supposed to sit there and look cute. This is ridiculous. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Time.
Right. And if that was the case, then why is the Secretary of State so upset that he's no longer the chairman of the board? if we had no power. So clearly there's a reason why he wants that seat. So, but now you're telling us that we can't do anything? So this is where it gets confusing. This is where people is being misled. And that is where I feel the most disappointment because I feel like the voters are being misled.
Yeah,
Los,
sure.
I think, and we've had this discussion too, just the disappointment that we see on the faces of people and we hear it when they call in and talk about how they want to believe, and yet they don't. And I know I said this a little bit earlier, but we hear it, Los. When people call in, we hear it in their voices.
Janelle King is our guest on the Morning Extra, and I point that out because we talked about it at last night's meeting. There is such a fight at the top, Janelle, just as you're pointing out. A lot of them Republican-oriented, where there are Republicans that are down ballot that don't trust what's going on at the top of the party. And I think that's the confusing part for a lot of us that are really adhering to, just as you're saying, we've heard other people say, get out, vote early, it makes it harder to play games. Yet we don't have that confidence at the top of what's going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I am encouraging people to try to not see this as a partisan issue, because it's not partisan.
Yeah.
There are Democrat races that are being affected. There are Republican races that are being affected, right? It goes across the board. And to be honest, it's really local races that get hit the hardest, because when you are walking into a precinct and you're not seeing a person's name on the ballot that you went in there to specifically vote for, that's a problem. Then what do we do? What do you do in that moment?
Late.
It's just, right, you just have to wait until the end to do a recount, to do an audit, to try to do it all on the back end. We were trying our best to put rules in place that will strengthen the laws that surround our election process. But, like I said, when you have judges who feel like that's not necessary, we can just keep things the way it is. This is not a 2020 issue. This is a 2016 issue. Hillary Clinton is the first person who's claimed that there was some type of election fraud going on. Then in 2018, we saw Stacey Abrams and Sarah Amico Riggs. Then we go to 2020 and we see President Trump. This didn't start in 2020. So we're talking about people complaining since 2016, and here we are in 2024, and we can't put rules in place?
We're talking about
That's
taking
where
a
we
step
are?
backwards. But I think that's something that gets really lost, because you had told me this in a sidebar conversation that, like, in those elections, those 2016 and 18, that there were anomalies. There were things that were wrong, and it did affect the Democrats.
Yes, it did. And where I believe, went wrong as Republicans is that we ignored it because we were winning.
Because it benefited us.
Right.
Yeah.
It benefited us.
It's
at
easy
that
to turn a
time.
blind eye, and which is exactly what the Democrats are doing now.
That's what's happening. It just flipped.
They continue to do this. I mean, any kind of policy or any idea that they throw through is, hey, you know what? We're going to change the Supreme Court. We're going to add all these justices. Well, what happens if you lose?
Right.
What happens if you
when
lose?
it comes back to haunt you?
What happens when it all turns over?
Right. So, I mean, that's why we have to work for all America. And when you look at the Democrats, they're not doing that for all of them. They're working for small pockets and small groups. And the reality is they're pandering.
Yeah.
They're pandering to say, hey, black men, we know you don't want to vote for us because we haven't done anything for you in 12 out of the 16 years.
Black
but
men
guess
are my
what?
hero.
We are going to give you $20,000 each. Just to vote for me, knowing $12 trillion in reparations and all these things they know will never come true and actually don't help build this country in any way. I know. It's sad.
It's really bad. It's really bad. I like to tell this story. So there was a time when I lived in East Point, and when I was there were no Republicans on the ballot. There was nothing but Democrats, and I met some good Democrats that were actually trying to do the right thing in their cities. And I refuse to act as if there's no Democrats that are doing the right thing, especially on a local level when you're dealing with millage rates and stuff like that. It's possible to find people who want to do the right thing. And I had to vote for Democrats because there were no Republicans. So this is, for me personally, this is not a partisan thing. It never has been. It's only been about the election process. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah.
You deserve a election that you can have faith in.
And that's Janelle King is our guest here on the Morning Extra, and that's equally the part that bothers me about this, Janelle, because when you're talking about at the local level, there are people that are Democrats that I'll agree with what their ideas are, and I'll say, you know what, I can understand where you're trying to earn my vote.
Yep.
I think as we get higher up into this starts to feel more like that uniparty system where there's a certain amount of horse trading. Here's who you're going to be. You're going to get this piece of power, then you're going to get this piece of power, and we'll make sure that we'll have all the plebes down ballot and all the smaller communities fighting amongst each other, not realizing that we're the problem at the top.
Exactly. That's what I'm seeing, and that's where it gets frustrating. I'm like, do not turn your family member away because they're on a different side of the aisle.
Right.
Stop doing that.
But it happens, and unfortunately, even in my own family, it's happened. We'll continue with Janelle King, the discussion about the Georgia State Elections Board and the craziness surrounding securing the elections here in the state. Tug, Rhino, and Los with Janelle King until 10.
All wealth in this country is owned by individuals, not by corporations. All wealth is held by individuals.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Have you considered securing your family's future? protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease. Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademark Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to The Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Keep up with all of our shows and the latest headlines by following Extra 106.3 on Instagram, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and all your social media platforms. Plus exclusive giveaways and more. So follow now at XTRA 106.3.
We have the best guest always. When Janelle comes in, she brings a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience with her, and she is armed with the truth, and that is the most important thing. I know that's the discussion that we always have, and we always put things through the perspective of our faith. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I don't know how you expose yourself to this experience, the arrows, the slings, the ugly things that are said about you, knowing that they're not true, and some of the people that are saying it know it's not true, but they use it to benefit themselves or their party or whatever it is. How do you do it?
I respect human nature, and I know that in this world we're going to be persecuted. We're going to be there's going to be tribulation, and you're going to be hated. Truth will always be hated. It will always. So once you know that, you expect it. And so that's how it is. I expect it. I know I'm going to wake up to a whole bunch of hate mail every day. But I also know that these are people that are reading these snapshots. They're being wound up. And I understand human nature. And so I'm not upset with them. I don't get frustrated with people that are just, reading stuff and getting emotional about it and not knowing how to control their feelings. I don't get upset about that. What I get upset about is the people who fed them that information. It's the people who fed them the information. That's what upsets me.
I tell you, I don't have, and you and I talk about our faith more than probably anything else that we discuss, and I don't have that. I want to have that, and I don't.
It's a choice.
I know.
You have it. You do have it.
Let me tell you.
You just got to do it without feeling like you want to do it.
I have to ask Christ for his forgiveness and guidance every day and just say, Lord, let me love people the way you love them because I do not.
You have to choose to.
I know. And I do my best to, but it is a challenge. So I commend you. And I'm so... Envy's not the right word to use, but I wish my faith was as strong as yours, and I wish I could walk in that, and it's going to take me a long time to do that. But because none of this is stopping, and you brought up something in the break that you experienced, because we saw what CBS did with the interview with Kamala Harris, and they changed out answers for her, which is, goodness gracious, talk about integrity. There doesn't seem to be
propaganda.
Doesn't seem to exist there. But you had this same thing happen with the election board, like a CBS style edit where they took your words out of context and changed them up.
Oh yeah, they always take things out of context. They take my words out of context all the time. You know what? So yeah, when I was reading the articles with Judge McBurney, I found it interesting. I said, they left out the part where he said, the rule does state that you have to conduct your reasonable inquiry within the certification period. The fact that they were claiming that our rule was going to somehow delay certification when we put it in the rule to not delay certification is McBurney was confused about that too.
So let me clear this up, because you never said we're not changing the date of certification. We're going to try our best and make sure that we're able to certify the results, but able to certify the results by the date, because it doesn't happen on November 6th.
They have to. The rules say they have to do it by that date. They have to do it by that date. You want to make sure that we're able to. Yeah, not only that, but we saw in the past where we had board members who did not certify. And their reasoning was because they didn't feel confident signing that legal document without seeing the data that they are signing that is accurate, that is perfect, that is free of fraud. That's what the document says. They just wanted to see, where did this data come from?
Yeah.
And this judge felt like, no, you don't need to see that.
But he did
just sign it anyway.
But he did say about the hand counts that he thought it was good to ensure accuracy in our results, and he made sure of that, and that's why he never made a ruling on this. And then Cox comes in and makes a complete ruling because, he's a Democrat, and they're going to work for themselves.
What he said was he acknowledged that this may be good election rules, and that the rule simply is trying to make sure the machine counts are accurate. And then he went on and continued on and talking about that. But he sees what we were trying to do. And when you have cases where machines are going down and scanners are going down and people are having to put their ballots somewhere else for now until they scan them later.
Second box.
This is how this type of stuff happens. And you were talking about human error. That's what it is. Human error. This is what happens.
Well, you do need to have people who can count, and that training is invaluable to teach people how to count pieces of paper. So we don't have time.
Count Dracula.
1 and a 2 and 3. This is why I know my
have a class for Democrats and just have the countdown there. 1 vote.
But Los, that's the thing, man. This is happening not just in Georgia. We're seeing this happen across the country.
No, and I think this is the interesting part where Janelle get involved in this, because the fight's a little different in places. For instance, we were listening to Governor Youngkin bring up in Virginia, hey, I'm looking to clear up my voter rolls and make sure there's no illegals here. That shouldn't be any sort of problem. And yet the federal government swoops in and goes, oh, hold on a second. You might ruin this entire election. No matter what happens with the idea of increasing election integrity, the other side, and sometimes the top of our side, swings in and goes, hold on a second. I don't know if you want to do that so close to an election.
I know, right. All of that is, as you can see, it is happening across the nation. It's not just Georgia. I want to encourage voters to, number one, vote early. But number two, if you see something and you have a complaint, do not just send it to the Secretary of State's office. Send it to us as well, because we don't have access to wherever those complaints are going. And I'm not assuming, or I'm just saying that I would like to see them as well. I think having additional form of documentation matters. So document what you're feeling and what you're seeing.
Make sure you tell people how to reach out to you.
Yes, so go to you can just shoot me an email. Shoot me an email is jking.seb@gmail.com and put in the subject complaint, so that I can easily search it and I can find it, because we get about 500 emails a day.
Well, exactly. And then that's going to be tough to remember for folks. So social media too.
Social media. Yes, I am Janelle King. So any way you can find me, if you Google me, you'll find my website for the podcast.
Oh my Lord.
I
can only imagine.
Just Google my name, and anywhere where you see something that goes to me, send it to me.
You didn't know you used to be so internet famous.
I did not. I became very Googleable really fast.
Yeah, and for the left, if you want to send all your hate mail, it's at @IM_Janelle.
Yeah, but don't, because
please don't send hate mail. It's not necessary.
That's all they do. Is that really?
It doesn't bother me, so it's more of a waste of a time.
Do you even pay attention to it? Do you even read them?
I don't.
All you have to see is
majority of them I don't even see.
You don't even see them, right? Oh, thank God.
I don't go looking for it. You kind of got to look for it, right? Go into the comments.
It's not hard.
Every once in a while.
I saw how beautiful the post you put up was. And all I did was look at it. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me with these people. Liar! You lie! Maggot, extreme maggot. You're a maggot now.
I'm so everything. I think Roland Martin said that my black ancestors was angry with me, and I'm like, man.
What about John Oliver?
Who said that? Roland Martin.
Yeah. What about John Oliver?
John Oliver
that was a good one too.
Straight up lied on his show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just
man.
like,
I just don't envy what you're doing. I'm so happy that we have someone like you, but 99.9% of people would not do this.
You know what? I see it as most people that are, whether you're standing for truth with your family or if you're doing it on the platform that I am, regardless, there's so many people taking arrows right now in so many different ways that I do not feel special. I feel like I'm just part of the Army. Just part of the Army.
404-741-1230. Robertson, Kennesaw got a question for Janelle King. Robert, good morning. Thank you.
Yes. Appreciate your time and talent. Thank you for your courage.
Thank you.
Two things. First, I'm very surprised that nobody nationally has ever mentioned the rules of evidence for circumstantial evidence, method, motive, and opportunity for vote fraud. And yet, if you add morals, madness, and morality to that, the opposing side, bless their hearts, has no morals and is literally near insane with their hatred for Trump, for conservatives in many cases, where it's morally correct in their minds to commit fraud, to vote many times or to throw out ballots or to fight an effort to have an honest election. In other words, on them, it appears that their morality says not only will I cheat if I can, but I must cheat.
You know what? I will say that I think we're dealing with two groups. I think we're dealing with the group of people that may think the way you're talking and may see it the way you're saying it. And I also think we're dealing with people who just don't like change. They are stuck to the status quo. And they're like, okay, I'm okay with some human error. I mean, if a couple of thousand ballots are double counted and it doesn't affect outcomes, I'm okay with it. Well, yeah, until you're on a local race and your race is determined by 12 or 15 votes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it becomes real big.
Oh, it becomes a problem then.
Well, I mean, I think when you find 3,000 double counted ballots in one county, in one batch, and you lose a state by 12,000, and you go, well, we have 159 counties.
Yeah.
How do we know how many mistakes would have added up?
Exponential. This number just continues to snowball.
We've gotten comfortable with human error or some error, and that's slow walk us into that.
And then we don't want humans to go ahead and look and say, well, let me see if I can fix this, because there's 3 ballots in the computer and I only have 2.
Exactly. We don't want them to fix it, but
we don't want them doing that.
You know, but I hear it all the time. They were like, well, of course there's some error in elections. And I'm like, okay.
But we don't
not
allow,
supposed to be.
But here's the thing. We don't allow error
in sporting events.
You don't allow error at your bank.
Absolutely, you don't.
When they decide to give you $5 less than what you asked for.
100%, but that's
or any math class and test I've taken for,
They don't allow
15, 20 years.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, Lowe's. People do not allow errors except when it comes to being able to manipulate elections, or it seems that would be the reasoning for allowing it.
My morality allows for me to understand that there's going to be cheating. Like, that's going to happen on both ends, and everyone's going to attempt to do it. Errors are different. Errors, it's almost we know better. We know that these possibilities of having these mistakes are out there. Why don't we fix those? I can understand the cheating. The cheating's going to happen. The errors, to me, is my problem.
Yeah, that's my issue too. I'm like, if we've seen where errors have occurred, why not put in some checks and balances and some parameters to prevent it from happening in the future? Why do we continue to let it happen?
I wish I had a good answer for that. I do not. Janelle King, unbelievable to have you here, and it's great to discuss this thing that's happening in the state of Georgia and why people are uneasy. But early voting is going very, very well, and we will continue fighting for the things that matter and discussing them, because that's what it's all about, talking about it. That way we can make a difference. Thank you, Janelle. We will be right back after a Fox News update. The major mistake the DNC has made regarding men in America. The Kimmer Show is only on Xtra 106.3 every weekday afternoon on your drive home.
If she wins, it's the United States. It's the end of what we knew it as, what we grew up in.
We're not going to take it.
Because there's 100 million of us that won't live under that. What she's going to try and do, we're not going to live under that. There will have to be a partition at some point if she wins, because no one's going to live under that.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app.
Looking for bold discussions on vital issues? Tune in to the Janelle King Show every Saturday at 3 p.m. with an encore episode every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Xtra 106.3, where we dive into kitchen table topics that are essential for a strong republic. Don't miss an episode, but if you do, it's all good, because we have new podcasts that drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out on these thought-provoking conversations.
D. Geller & Son Jewelers is celebrating 85 years in Atlanta this month. It's been an honor to be your hometown family jeweler since 1939. Founded as the South's first diamond and jewelry wholesaler, D. Geller & Son brings those quality standards and that unbeatable pricing to the comfort of your neighborhood jewelry store. D. Geller & Son is still 100% family-owned and operated, and we love our community. That's why we have trained jewelers you can trust in every store for professional, reliable service on site. It's why we have Atlanta's best lifetime care plan for free, covering everything from ring sizing to diamond upgrades. And most importantly, it's why we're committed to find or design the perfect piece of jewelry for your most special moments. No matter the budget, you can be confident D. Geller & Son Jewelry is the best quality and value you can find. It's going to last, and they're going to love it. There's no jeweler in Atlanta like D. Geller & Son, and that's why we've been Atlanta's most trusted jeweler since 1939. Come celebrate 85 years with us in Atlanta, Kennesaw, or Sandy Springs, and read our story online at dgeller.com.
Democracy 24.
Immigration and housing affordability collide in this campaign season. Vice presidential hopeful J.D. Vance in the debate says that he and former President Trump will get to the root causes pushing affordable housing costs up.
25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership.
From the Federal Reserve to the Congressional Budget Office, research shows the 8.5 million people who illegally crossed the southern border since President Biden and Vice President Harris took office affected housing and pushed inflation. Federal Reserve Board of Governor Michelle Bowman says the inflow of new migrants in some areas gobbled up affordable housing, pushing rent prices up. At the White House, Edward Lawrence, Fox Business.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
He's still alive on Texas's death row. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, because just before Robert Roberson was going to get a lethal injection last night, the state Supreme Court blocked his execution.
He was
shocked, to say the least. He praised God and he thanked his supporters.
Department of Criminal Justice spokesperson Amanda Fernandez. Those supporters questioned Roberson's guilt, including the lead investigator in the case, who says he was wrong and no longer believes Roberson murdered his 2-year-old child by shaking her in 2002. A group of state lawmakers in Texas, Republicans and Democrats, pushed for the case to be re-examined. The U.S. is urging Israel's prime minister to end the war in Gaza to free the hostages after an Israeli military raid killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th attack. But Benjamin Netanyahu says the war must go on, delivering this message to residents of Gaza. We hear in a translation.
Sinwar ruined your lives. We told you he was a lion, but in reality, he hid in a dark tunnel, and he was killed when he ran away in fear from our soldiers.
President Biden is in Germany for talks with our NATO ally and further helping Ukraine battle Russia's invasion. In the race for the White House, some comedy.
It's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance.
Former President Trump told several jokes as is tradition at the Al Smith Catholic Charities dinner that most presidential candidates attend. Vice President Harris did not, instead campaigning in Wisconsin, but Harris did send in a video featuring Saturday Night Live alum Molly Shannon reprising her Catholic schoolgirl role.
Just so you know, there will be a fact checker there tonight. Oh, that's great. Who? Jesus. And maybe don't say anything negative about Catholics.
I would never do that, no matter where I was. That would be like criticizing Detroit in Detroit.
A jab at Trump's criticism of the city when campaigning there. America's listening to Fox News.
The big wireless carriers want you to overpay for data you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that. With Pure Talk, you get to choose how much data you actually want. For just $25 a month, enjoy unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Stop overpaying and switch to Pure Talk today. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk to switch and save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk for an additional 50% off.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Does your friend listen to an old station whose news gives them the blues? Set your friend right. Tell him to download the Extra 106.3 app.
One of the big discussions today will be Yahya Sinwar being eliminated from Hamas's leadership. And me and Rhino have been joking a little bit about the fact that when the Israeli drone came in and before it fixed the problem, he threw a stick at it or something. It just was so weak. It wasn't trying to get away. It was just
Yeah, it was kind of like the staff of Kamala Harris during the Brett Baier, just throwing a white flag.
Yeah.
Oh, that was that. Yeah, I'm done. But this is a good move. This is that is basically Israel's bin Laden. Okay,
yeah,
October 7th was orchestrated by this man. And I think right now this was a message that was sent that I think a lot of people are going to start talking about a ceasefire now and talking about how do we stop Israel from doing what they're doing, because it doesn't matter who the next, head of the snake is. It's getting cut off every single time.
And Israel has proven that, Lowe's, over and over, specifically with Hezbollah, but now they're bringing Hamas into anybody that has a leadership role, they are going to destroy. They're going to dismantle, and they have.
One of the weird things about jumping over into bubblegum land, which was the sports side yesterday.
Yeah.
Had 3 different people that waited until, we got to a break, and they're like, hey, did you guys talk about that person that Israel took out? And I was like, well, that happened after our show. I was like, I think, it was like 11:30, noon, right around there. It was, so you guys going to get into it tomorrow? It's like, it's funny how many people on that side of the building listen to us and then are like, okay, good. I got my information that I needed.
But it's funny that they talk about it like this.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
well, they always joke around about down the hall.
Yeah, well,
like that's always their joke.
Yeah.
The truth is, they really wish they could all be honest and talk about things.
Yeah, right. I think most people would like to have an honest conversation, and that's why we do what we do here at Extra 106.3, and we're glad.
I dropped a couple of my little jokes here and there.
Did you yesterday?
Yeah.
So explain to everybody.
You filled in. So I filled in an afternoon drive. And it was Mike Judge's birthday. He turned 61. I started bringing up, yes. They immediately went to Beavis and Butthead. And
this is cool.
I brought up the idea that idiocracy is real.
Yeah.
And it's what's going on. And immediately, baseball Jesus, Chris Domino, was like, down the hall. I was like, there's nothing political about talking about how we're breeding idiots.
Yeah, right. No, it's the truth.
I was like, there's a reason why you're going to have 46% of the country that's going to go, hey, that woman that doesn't have any ideas, I'm voting for her. I'm with her.
Count me in. I'm getting on that bus. Oh, goodness.
The only thing I didn't get a chance to drop in is my new thing I've been doing around the office. It's like whenever there's like let's say, for instance, Rhino brings up a scenario, and I just go, oh, that's a Ted Bundy situation.
Yes, and I've seen you spring that on people, and nobody's sure how to respond to it. Our sales director, Colin Wheat, when you sprung it on him, he was just like,
he's very weirded out by it. And then I do it because I then do the Kamala Harris thing. I will say, Tug, what you brought up, that's an Ed Kemper situation. And then I go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, right. And they laugh because they have no idea what you mean.
They have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, I'm just trying to bring up a scenario that goes, that doesn't make any sense. And then I say, we you know what I mean? And then we laugh together.
That's exactly right.
That is my Kamala Harris joke, and I've got like 20 some more days left of it.
Right, but if they were dialed in, they would be like, I don't know what you mean.
Well, because that's what Brett Baer said, and that's what you should be saying. You're like, I don't know what you mean.
No idea what you're talking about.
Nope.
I can tell you why that Democrats are losing men, hemorrhaging men even. When you look at the Democrat Party platform, they're not a part of it. Go to the DNC website. Every other box is checked. But that is what Democrats do, right? They put people in boxes. Men, unfortunately, for men and now for the Democrat Party because they need men. They're not even mentioned. It's obvious that men were completely unimportant until to the Democrats until right now when they need them. Isn't it convenient? They do that. They do that. When they need you, they are going to recruit you. They are going to court you. They are going to do all kinds of things to tell you how much they love you. And they're not going to do any of those things. Politico's got a great article. I'll share it at Tug Cowart and at Extra 106.3. You can follow the rest of the show at Rhino Extra 106.3 at Front Office Los. They've got a great article about how Democrats could engage men. And yet, the problem is there's not a chance that anybody in the Democrat Party is going to see any of these and spend a minute on them. It is going to fall on deaf ears completely. And it's very basic stuff, like things that matter to men, education. Recruit more male teachers. That would be good for young men in school. We know that. It's been proven over and over again. That's just the first. I mean, there are a million. I mean, this thing is like pages and pages of good ideas. As a matter of fact, I actually hope the Republican Party goes and reads this and implements some of it because it's really smart, which is why the Democrats won't do anything with it.
Well, you know the Democrats are having a problem with men. You know why? Because when you watch the beginning of the campaigning, you get Tim Walz running out there like Richard Simmons. You watch now while they lose, they dress him up like Elmer Fudd and give him a shotgun that he doesn't know how to use. They are trying to make him look more of a man. Here's a flannel. Now you'll look like a man.
And you'll be one.
The other thing is they pander and say, black men, listen. Hey, if you vote for us, we're going to legalize marijuana. I mean, of course, that's how low they think of black men. They think black men are only voting so they can get marijuana legalized. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard, by the way, and the most racist thing I've ever heard in a pander to any group, but that's what the Democrats are. They're having a real problem with men because they treat men horribly, and on top of that, they think men should be better women than women.
Considering that they have a document that's a multitude of pages about their whole ideas, let me simplify this. Trucks, boobs,
Okay, there we go. That's all you had to really do.
Beer, throw beer in there. You can't leave beer.
I'll throw in. Okay. Beer. All right, so these are the three things. Considering that they, in their mind, they looked at it and they say, hey, we got Scranton Joe. Joe's going to be the guy who's bring him on home for us, how it's going to be. So by the time that they ran Joe out of the party, the short-sightedness of, okay, we no longer have a male candidate who has won the vote. We now have to scramble. And the problem ends up being is that when you start to have Kamala Harris, the more she talks to Democrats, the more they don't like her. And the more she talks to the country, the more they really don't like her. So, yes, you have a problem with men in this case. And so now, as we're going to go through 2024, we're eventually going to get to 2028. That's going to be their next big push is how did we run men off this hard and how do we get them back?
I think, Rhino, you're going to be able to relate to this one.
Trucks.
This is from
beer.
And beer.
Boobs.
Remember that when Clay Travis said that on CNN?
Oh,
and
he
the
got thrown
world
off.
came together. They wouldn't even allow him
The wheels
back.
just fell off. That poor lady was like,
men like boobs? No! How could you say that?
As she sits there 90% of the time with a low-cut shirt to get a TV job. But you had no idea men liked boobs.
That's right. I want to bring this one up because I think it's good from the Politico article. And only because you've faced this before.
Mm-hmm.
When a man gets divorced, it is incredibly uphill sledding to have quality time with your kids.
I'm glad you brought this up. I was actually going to talk about this, so keep going. I agree. Yep.
The article says, for unmarried fathers who in most states face a complex and difficult legal terrain in terms of ensuring custody rights, men want to be involved with their kids even if there is a divorce. And that is so true. I know it from you, and I know it from a couple other friends that have incredible difficulty being able to just function after the divorce because everything is piled on the man. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be fair to women. Of course, I'm not saying that. But we've gone, it's like the pendulum swing that we're talking about with Janelle, right? It goes way, way out, and now everything seems to work in favor of the mother, and I've seen it over and over again.
And I want to preface that, the mother of my child, my ex-wife, is an excellent mother.
Yeah,
a fantastic mother.
And you've been very vocal about that since I've known you.
And I'm lucky that we get to work together in raising my child, and she's very good about doing that along with me. There are a lot of men that don't have that. They have a bitter ex of some reason or another, don't know why. And I have other friends that have custody of their children at a certain time. But here's what they do to you. Not only do I get to pay the child support, which I have no problem paying, and I always pay. I'm not back on any of it. I pay it because it's my son. I'm going to take care of him. That's to be used for certain things. Now, I bought the house, and they're living in the house. I volunteered to go so that my son would be able to stay in the house and stay in the school. So I said, hey, I'll go get an apartment. I pay that. I also don't get any tax breaks, even though I'm paying all of that child tax credit. I have to find a way to navigate that. Everything that I've done, I haven't done anything to not warrant the fact that I should be able to have custody of my child. But they make it impossible for a man because that's what the Democrats, that's what people have always just vilified men in that regard. I take great care of my son. I teach my son very well. He got a 98 on his midterm yesterday. Here we go. I was very happy about that. But
they took
him from me on that regard. I don't get to see him every night.
Men are not even part. If you go to the DNC website, and I encourage you to go do it, look at their platform and find where men are mentioned. They are not.
Well, and that's where you're now starting to see the attempt to try and bring back a group that has largely been ignored. Now,
but it's AstroTurf. That's the thing. It's not real. They only want it for right now. As soon as they get the vote, they're going right back to what they normally do.
No, but let's be honest. The Republicans aren't reaching out to men either. What is happening, though, is that the Republicans just aren't criticizing men to be men. Right. That's the reason why they're finding their way over to the Republican Party. When the Democrat Party spends their entire time ignoring the men, just like the Republicans do, but then trying to tell men, listen, there's a little bit too much testosterone. There's
pipe down.
The whole idea that there's a term called mansplaining when you attempt to explain something to anyone that comes from them. There's a reason why this group gravitates to a party, even the one that's not trying to bring them in. They're saying, well, here's my home because this one over here is a bunch of soy boys. And trust me, I like soy, but a bunch of soy boys.
Yeah, it's alarming because... Alarm, I don't know if alarming is the right word.
We'll put it this way: if you make a living with your hands. Who's talking to you?
Nobody.
Neither party. But who's not criticizing you?
Yeah,
that's Republicans.
Yeah. You know that there's a big difference in the way that the Democrats and Republicans kind of run their races, and the Democrats break everybody into groups, right? You're a black man, you're a female, you're a woman, you're this, you're gay,
LGBT,
you're blah blah blah. You're a Jew. We don't like you. That's how they break everybody up. Where Donald Trump is running, he's running on. Here's energy. This is what will bring costs down. So it kind of just affects everybody, and I like the way that we continue to run. Now, do we have to get into the positions of defending against the Democrats who break up everybody into little groups and say, this is who you are, this is who you are, you should be mad at them? Yeah, you're going to have to say, hey, listen, this will also affect all of these jobs. They may be black jobs, Hispanic jobs, Asian jobs, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, when you look at what a Democrat policy is, it's based on certain small groups. When you see what Republicans are, it's for all of Americans.
Tug, Rhino, and Los, Billy's in Canton. He's got some things he would like to add to that list of things that matter to men and should be at least discussed. Billy, what's up, man? Tell me the list.
Yes, sir. I would say first and foremost on a lot of people's mind is God, country, and family, especially for men.
Absolutely, man. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's God, country, and I know it flows nicely that way. I would say God, family, country, but anyway it goes, those three are important to most every dude in the world, and the Democrat Party has no connection to those three things.
Well, they don't like family. They don't like God.
They try to tear it apart. They definitely
don't like the
God.
country.
You're
right.
That's
what they're telling us every single day, and that's true. I mean, they attack sports. They attacked our military members. Right? The only people I was thinking about this the other day because I said, the Biden administration never fires anybody that works for them except for military members who wouldn't take vaccines. These people don't care about real men. They don't care about what men think or what they want. I agree with him. I think that is very important. We care about taking care of our family. We care about maybe our farms. That's another thing that I think a lot of men.
I think that qualifies under country. You know what I mean? Because it's such a vital part of it.
Yeah, we care about our guns in order to protect our families as well. There are certain things that, we do care about, probably a little more than some women.
Well, totalitarian regimes over the course of history, and we even see it to this very day. If you want to look at what the Chinese have done, if you want to look at what the former Soviet Union did, part of it is that you're always having to dissolve certain aspects of the society. Religion always being number one. You get rid of religion, you've got some options. The next one is family. And once you've kind of dissolved those, it's interesting how everyone gravitates toward the state. So you're getting a soft version of that in this country, and you've had it for the better part of 30 years, where it's been, if I can just get rid of a couple of these elements right here, country falls away pretty quickly.
Erosion, that's what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Fox News, do you realize that they're sexist? That they're racist? Did y'all know this?
I thought that the minute I was listening to them this week.
That's right.
I was so upset how they treated Kamala.
Right.
I can't believe they were telling her to answer a question.
I don't even know why we got to play the clip.
I saw a little bit of the panel after the interview, and one woman said that she came in hot and also said that she became angrier. I thought he came in hot, and what I am very tired of is this trope of the angry black woman. She was not angry. She was in command of the facts. She was passionate. Passion does not equal anger. I'm often called, Donald Trump actually called me dumb at a rally recently. You have these tropes that are used against women and women of color in particular. And I did not see a dumb woman. I did not see an angry woman. I saw a woman who understands what is at stake.
I didn't see.
Because I didn't see that.
I didn't see that Kamala Harris was necessarily angry. I felt like she was more flustered than angry. I didn't see her being very angry. Right. Yeah. She's completely off. What she just did was say that Brett Baer came in hot, right? She did the same exact thing, but against a white man. So in her opinion, like what she just said, you can use the same exact way. She's obviously racist against white men. She obviously hates white men. But the reality of it is, he came in and said, "Madam President, hold on."
And he said, "Ma'am," several times. Ma'am.
He was so nice. And again, I don't think she was angry. I just think she was flustered. Now, on the dumb comment, yeah, I agree. She dumb.
I'll just say this, and that lady, that analyst, won't care for that. Baby girl.
She ain't gonna care for that either.
Go to YouTube, look up Brett Baer, Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh, dude! It was twice as hard.
You'll get the exact same treatment, even twice as much. You answer the question that I'm asking you, and to think that when you did that to Kamala Harris, I thought about how funny this was. That man during this process has been shot. And he's like, all right, well, I've been shot. Yeah. She got follow-up questions. She was like, oh, my God, I've been shot.
Yeah.
Do you call that woman baby girl?
Baby girl.
Baby girl?
Come on, baby girl.
Come on, baby girl.
Oh, you got it.
It's okay, sweetie.
YouTube's available for everybody.
Honey.
It only takes like 10 seconds to YouTube Brett Baer and Donald Trump and go, oh, so I see what's going on here. But, but that doesn't fit the narrative.
If you're a gambler, which candidate should you be putting your money on? We'll discuss it next after headlines.
It's Kamala. I want to return on my money.
That's right. Good point. 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. More of the Morning Extra next.
Why is it that only white columnists are the only ones ever held responsible for taking somebody else's stuff when every race, creed, color in this planet has done it 1,000 times?
Well, because we're the white people.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, sandwich lovers. Today's your lucky day. There's a whole new way to roll for lunch or dinner delight with Nucky's Hoagies in the Roswell Corners Shopping Center. Now open. Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell is family owned and operated by the Sub-Sisters, Stacy and Shannon, whose love language is food and Nucky's Hoagies, their passion. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagie, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, along with hunger-quenching sandwich combinations. Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell on Woodstock Road your new favorite spot for lunch or dinner.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. In this fall, we invite you to transform your home. Our expert team brings color to life with top quality paints and flawless finishes, and leading the industry with our color consultants. Whether it's a fresh coat of paint for one room or an entire exterior makeover, the Atlanta Painting Company has you covered. So, trust the local pros for reliable, professional service when you need to revive your home or business. Find us at AtlantaPaintingCompany.com or call us at 1-800-PAINTING. That's AtlantaPaintingCompany.com. The Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
The end of the year is closing in, and with it, another tax year comes to an end. As you prepare to file your taxes, consider the efficiency of your tax strategy. Have you maximized your IRA and Roth contributions? Do you have an RMD strategy in place? Are you making moves now to maximize your future tax-free income? Not only is the year-end fast approaching, but the 2017 tax cuts sunset at the end of 2025, placing many Americans in a higher tax bracket. Don't just report your taxes, plan for them. Contact Master Plan Retirement Consultants now to create a retirement plan specifically designed for you. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation where we can illustrate your retirement outlook and create a plan together for your future. Master Plan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
As an official community partner of the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Braves Foundation, the Warrior Alliance connects warriors and their families to free services such as health and wellness, housing, employment, education, legal services, and so much more. We need your financial support to increase our impact and change thousands of lives for those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It takes more than just thank you for your service. Make a donation to help warriors navigate to success after service. Go to thewarrioralliance.org/donate and make a difference today.
While fall temperatures are cooling down, the action in the stadium and on the field is really heating up. If you find yourself in hot water from too much celebrating during the game, it's important to know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we handle bonds from the Battery to the Bends, and even for those who celebrate action between the hedges. At A Second Chance, we can have you or your loved one out of jail in a matter of hours. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 4 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffer from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. There are lots of competitors that don't have the credentials that I have. When you go to other clinics, you're not going to see a board-certified physician with the experience that I have. When you come to our clinic, you're going to see me. There's just not one therapy that can solve these complex issues. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. Total Body Therapy of Georgia, 404-777-1911, 404-777-1911, online at stopmyed.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Friday, October 18th. Eternal Vigilance Action, an organization founded by former state representative Scott Turner, has filed an appeal against Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox's ruling that the state election board lacked the authority to pass new rules for the 2024 election. RNC Chairman Michael Watley criticized the ruling as judicial activism, defending the rules as common sense measures that ensure election integrity. A Barrow County grand jury has indicted both 14-year-old Colt Gray and his father Colin Gray in connection with the mass shooting at Appalachia High School. After hearing over 2 hours of testimony, the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges and Colin Gray on 29 charges. An arraignment is set for November 21st. And in sports, the Cleveland Guardians won their first game of the ALCS with a 7-5 victory over the New York Yankees. New York holds a 2-1 lead in the series. Meanwhile, the Dodgers defeated the Mets 10-2 last night, giving them a 3-1 lead in the NLCS. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
Watched that Yankees Guardians game last night, and it was so good. That's what postseason baseball is supposed to be right there. Man, that Noel kid came up and hit an absolute nuke to tie it up. They're down to their last out. And that's the reason I love playoff baseball right there.
I talked to Baseball Jesus yesterday.
Chris Domino.
There you go.
Yeah, right down the home.
And the funny part is he now responds to Baseball Jesus when I say that to him. And I asked him, I said, Baseball Jesus, considering the batting averages are in the 220s right now, when am I going to get a close game? Yeah. Finally got a close game last night. Finally got drama that I've been looking for. I've been checking in. All I want is good baseball games, and largely in the championship series, I haven't had it until last night.
It's been lopsided each way, but
well, except for the Mets last night.
Well, but that was lopsided.
Oh, they got crushed.
It was 10-2, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I meant. It was a nice New York, Cleveland. I mean, I was not happy with the New York outcome, but you know, it's funny because I've been such a Braves fan now that I used to be such a rabid Yankee fan, and now I'm just like, let's go. All right, good job, good job.
Well, that Guardians game, they were up 3-1,
aka Indians,
and then now you had a couple of homers in the 7th, and so the Yankees are up by 1, and in my mind, going, well, I guess that's about it. And
because the Yankees go up by 2 then.
And the fact that it got down to the point that it got down to, and then for Cleveland ended up pulling out and winning it to make it a 2-1 series. All right, great. Give me some drama. All I'm asking for is if my team is not in it, just give me some drama. I want some good baseball.
Because I would, I had already written off Cleveland. I thought that game was over.
Yeah.
And then I kept wanting to go to bed and wanting to go to bed and wanting to go to bed, and I couldn't because the game was so good. I love that scenario, right? Where you wake up tired the next morning, but you're satisfied because you saw a good game. That's where it needs to be. What are y'all betting? Do you think it's going to be Yankees Dodgers? I mean, I know that's what Major League Baseball
overwhelmingly feels that way.
Seems like
it's going to be a historic kind of series. So
it'd be great.
Be great.
Oh my gosh, two of the biggest markets.
If I'm going to watch,
but you want it to be good. Betting markets, I would imagine, would have that way, and I'm not much of a gambler because I don't have enough money to gamble. And I said earlier, if you're a gambler, which candidate should you put your money on? And Rhino Lowe's corrected me, and he's exactly right.
Yeah, look, this is the way to. You look at Polymarket, and I don't care what it is. There are two people who I trust, their actions and what they do when it comes to these kind of polls. One of them is anybody who has to do with Las Vegas. If they tell me there's odds on something, I'm going to look and go, okay, that's the favorite, and there's no doubt. They don't lose money in that regard.
They don't build those big, nice buildings on losers, or on winners, rather.
And by the way, we haven't been allowed to bet on this in the United States until basically the last month.
Yeah, the last month, and that's it. The other one I trust is the Wall Street investors and people who look at Wall Street. When I see the numbers and I see, like right now, the Democrats are going to sit here, which is I think is hilarious. Oh, look at that. Record stock and blah, blah, blah. The reason that the stock market is going up, there's so much confidence right now in the betting market that Donald Trump's going to win. Corporations are looking, going, we're going to be okay. We're not going to have to worry about some socialist coming in and trying to price gouge or trying to, put taxes on us that we will have to eliminate jobs and do things. So I think that's a lot of it. But right now, Polymarket is where you're going to look for any of your political ideas. It continues to go up and up and up for Donald Trump. He's up 60%. He has got a 60.7% chance to win this race. And you start to look and how they look at each state and you realize, this is a done deal for Donald Trump. It is a huge number. As of this morning, at 60%, it's already up to 61%. He keeps getting stronger and stronger every single time he gets in front of a camera or in front of an audience.
Far be it from the Oracle of Atlanta to slap himself on the back and say, okay, he was right about this sort of thing. But I did make the point 2 months ago that the more she's going to talk, the more he's going to win.
Yeah.
And what is going on is the media blitz has not worked. The more it's just reinforced that the Democrat Party, who didn't like her in 2020, now the rest of the country doesn't like her. The projections now, at a minimum, have him winning 312 electoral votes. I mean, he's going to win right now by nearly 100 electoral votes.
Wallop.
This has gotten to the point where there's no real Hail Mary now that we're getting down to about, 2.5 weeks. Outside of finding a dead hooker in the back of his car, and even that might cut him where he might only win by 50 electoral votes. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of options for her. So when Polymarket and the rest of the betting markets are going, all right, listen, here's the thing. We'll give you 3 out of 10 odds for her to win. I might put a 50 on that. We'll see what happens. But still, he's got basically right now at a 65% chance of winning.
I'm not trying to derail this conversation because I don't know anything about
scared.
betting. Well, but I just don't know.
Scared.
I don't know nothing about betting. I don't know. Polymarket, I'd never heard of this prior to like 2 weeks ago.
I brought this up with you, and this is much more of an international marketplace because the rest of the world could bet on. They could bet on all of our sporting events. They could also bet on our politics.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world was betting on our politics. And now that the United States you can put your money where your mouth is. But you're now looking at basically all the betting public looks at Donald Trump having between a 65 and 70% chance of winning this thing now.
Yeah, and Polymarket, you could bet on anything. You could bet on business. Like, will the stock market go up this amount? That. You could bet on anything on Polymarket. Okay. And the numbers, when you look at it, it's crypto, pop culture, science. You can do anything.
Like who's the next dead celebrity or something?
If you can bring them a bet, they'll set odds for you.
Yeah, they'll set odds for you.
Really? Like if I were to say,
will Tug make Christmas?
Or like, let's make it relevant though. Like,
will Joe make Christmas?
Will Kenny
with his
Chesney
promiscuous lifestyle?
Yeah. Will Kenny Chesney die? Can you?
Yeah.
Like by Christmas, or
I think I was just talking about making Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yes. Or will so and so's record get to number 1? Yes. If you come up with a legitimate wager and they think that they can get odds on it, You can create odds, and they'll take it.
Here's some of the other things that are trending right now as bets.
Joe make Christmas.
Will there be another debate? That's one of the things you can bet on. Will Kamala Harris win all 6 swing states? I'll tell you right now, those odds are not good. Will Trump fire his campaign manager? Will Biden resign? That was, obviously earlier. Trump gets more black votes in 2024. That's something you can vote on.
That's a legitimate one to play.
That one stands out to me.
There's an 82% chance that he does.
Well, they've set the number, too, as far as the percentage of African-American vote that they believe he's going to get. And so when you see all the talk within the black community of we're backing Donald Trump, the question is, will that be 25%, 30%, 35%? That's what you're gambling on.
I saw something on NBC last night, Rhino, and it was a dude that was standing out in front of Pennsylvania, a voting precinct.
Yeah.
Did you see it too?
Yes.
Where he came out and he was like, I didn't have one person tell me they were voting for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just went in order as people came out. And I asked him, he said, not one person at the precinct. And this is NBC. It's not like they're pro-Trump.
Sure, right.
He said not one person said they voted for Kamala Harris in the entire time we were there.
Well, when you start to look at these numbers and what the betting averages are, he's got a 58% chance of winning Pennsylvania at this point, a 65%. And these are our swing state numbers. 65% chance to win Georgia, 69% chance to win Arizona now, 56% chance to win Michigan, 55 for Wisconsin, 51 for Nevada. But here's some of the other interesting. When we talk about balance of power, the presidency, the Senate, and the House, there's a 44% chance that Republicans sweep all 3.
Goodness. It's fascinating. I'm not a gambler, but I'm fascinated by it.
Put a 20 down. Just a little
Put
20.
a 20.
Just a little 20.
But on what? What should I put it on?
Take it on 3.
No. Oh, the sweep. Okay. All right. Look, I'm doing it. Can I Venmo you the money and you put it down? Because I don't even know how to do it.
You're getting odds. When you're looking to gamble, you're not gambling on Donald Trump winning because right now that's about a 7 and 10.
Right, you're not going to win anything on that.
You're not going to win much. You're going to be putting down, $10 to win $3, all right? You got to find like the one that's like right in that area where the payback is going to feel good.
Here's one. What do you guys think? Will Kamala go on Joe Rogan before election? They're saying there's a 29% chance that she will.
I think that's the Hail Mary, and I think that's a possibility. Like I'd put a 20 on that.
Yeah.
But then again, I like gambling.
Yeah, but I don't I think it's detrimental. I think if she were to go on there, that would be the nail in the coffin. I mean, thankfully the people that have already voted for her would still vote for her. She still has those votes. But I think that could change people's perspective because of how bad I expect she would be.
All right. I believe that as well. I'm right there with you. That analysis is spot on. What I will say is the number 1 podcast in the world right now is Tucker Carlson as far as downloads. Number 2 is Joe Rogan. The Hail Mary's Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to make up some sort of ground, you go on Rogan.
Yeah.
And even if it kills you, then you're already dead anyway. It's like if I've already got 2 feet in the grave, I might as well.
Might as well lay down.
Here's another one that I think is a pretty buy no. Don't buy yes on this one. Will Kamala Harris drop out of the presidential race?
Oh yeah, definitely buy no.
Okay, probably I'll skip that one.
Yeah, will Trump out?
Although if
Trump drop out?
Well, but wait a minute. If y'all talk about the lip reading
with
thing,
Joe Biden and Barack Obama,
I don't know how legitimate lip reading is. I don't. I've seen where people have said things and it made sense, and I got to tell you, that makes sense.
All right. The problem with that is the AI versions are hilarious.
Way funnier. Oh
way
my
funnier.
God, way funnier.
But the fact that you have the New York Times that did get a lip reader and basically gave you something very similar of questioning where she's at in the race.
I'm stronger than her is the nail in the coffin line that Biden supposedly delivered to Obama at the Kennedy funeral.
Okay, so let me ask you this then on this prop bet. Will Biden pardon Trump? Yes or no?
That's a great
Just
one, dude.
I think that's a bitter man, and I don't think he wants anything to do with any of them.
But Lowe's, think about it. But he hates her, and he knows that his own party set him out to dry, hung him out to dry. Yeah. Could you imagine what that would do and the the tidal waves that would cause? You want to talk about getting back at the Democrats? I don't expect he would do it, but damn if he did.
If it was obviously 34 counts that are all basically just bookkeeping counts.
Yeah. Oh, man, my mind is racing.
All right, maybe that's worth a 20 spot too.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Like, that's a pretty good one. What are the odds on that one? What do we got to do? Did they list any of that stuff out, Rhino? Because I'm kind of curious.
A 6% chance. Let me see if I can dive
you know what?
into
you
this.
get paid.
I'm going to get paid off. $9.5 on my $20.
Yeah, it's actually gone up.
Stranger things have happened.
It was down it was low the entire time. I mean, there was no chance. And then all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, it's jumped to a good chance.
If I'm betting my $100, I'm going to get 1,000 out of it,
dude.
Yeah,
might be worth it.
I can't do 100 on it, but I could do a 20. I might be able to pull the trigger and do a 20.
Yeah, this is fun. They got new ones all the time. We need to get Prize Picks to be a part of this, and we'll give odds out to all these, and you can bet and do all that stuff. There's one more good one here. Will a nuke be detonated in 2024?
Oh wow,
there's a 14% chance.
Yeah, I don't expect that one.
That one's gross too.
That's just so gross. But I bet there's more. I bet there's others that are even more gross than
Mike
that.
Could have put a hundy on that and be screaming for it all 2024. Is that bad karma?
Yeah, there's some. I
got 2 more months, brother. Come on.
Yeah.
Somebody nuke somebody.
You got like Russia, Ukraine ceasefires, and a lot of questions about Russia, Ukraine in here too.
I'm telling you, Polymarket's wild.
It is wild.
Dude, I really had never heard of it until so recently. And now, if you were in the same boat, you'd never heard of it either. You kind of have an idea because, Los and Rhino, they know it. They've looked at it for a long time. I didn't even know it existed. Maybe you're like me. When we come back on Extra 106.3, the big tech companies are gaslighting, and it is underway on the web. Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3.
The only place to be on election night is right here on Extra 106.3. Our live commercial-free broadcast starts at 6 p.m. and goes all night until a winner is declared. And we'll have the entire Extra crew in studio, local and national experts, and your calls live on the air all night. So grab the Extra 106.3 app now, stream it on YouTube, or just be here live on election night with Atlanta's only conservative voice, Extra 106.3 FM.
Hey, it's Rhino here for my friends over at True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. One of the reasons that I love True Prep is that I can go down there and get everything I need in an emergency. And, I can always be prepared, or I know they're always going to have it in stock because they do, even in emergency situations. We don't have to worry about what we saw last week when people really want to help. They go and they panic buy. They buy everything up. Well, you don't have to worry about it at a place like True Prep. But you do have to worry about things like hurricanes. You do have to worry about tornadoes. You have to worry about power outages. You have to worry about water and whether or not they're going to shut down and make you boil water. Well, what if you get into a situation? Are you prepared? If not, locally owned and operated by 2 Georgia Tech engineers, Matt and Joey, and then they have an amazing staff. You go talk to Amy. She's the smartest of all of them, believe me. When you go and talk to her, ask her about the Harvest Right freeze dryer. She shares her Skittles with me all the time, and that's just a fun treat. But you know what? What you want to do is freeze dry food from your garden, from anywhere. You can use it for camping, but you can keep it for emergencies up to 30 years. But maybe you just want to buy it prepackaged. They have that as well. Not to mention, if you're new to prepping, they have workshops all the time, including their intro to emergency preparedness, their Get Out bag. I suggest you take that one. Listen to me. Make sure you have a bag. If you need to get out, you need to have all your essentials. First aid kits, firearms, firearm accessories. You need to have ammo. You need to have freeze-dried food, water filtration. True Prep, Marietta. That's your one-stop shop. Go visit them now or visit them online. Check out some of their great workshops at trueprep.com. That's TRUprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Well, Sally, thank you for your time. But unfortunately, we can't offer you the position.
But why?
Well, we got the results of your background check, and we saw some red flags.
Like what?
Apparently, you were accused of dog-napping a chihuahua named Mr. Cha-Cha.
Mr. Cha-Cha was my soulmate.
At Horizon Background Screening, we find things that other companies don't. That's why companies that use us make smarter hiring decisions. Don't let the wrong hire put your company at risk. Get the real story on your candidates at horizonscreening.com.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium-name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Get ready for Real Talk on the Janelle King Show, where we tackle kitchen table topics that are banned from family gatherings, but crucial for a strong republic. Tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday for an encore episode at 9 a.m. And if you can catch us live, great. But if not, no worries. New podcasts drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park right here on Extra 106.3 or wherever you get your podcast. Join us for insightful conversations that matter.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is.
Election coverage is more than polls and numbers. It's about what matters in your life and your community. And Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station cares about your community, your voice, and most importantly, your vote. So keep it all here for the latest and download the Extra 106.3 app and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
Doug Rhino and Los on the Morning Extra. Thank you for being here. Tip of the 10-gallon hat to you this morning, 404-741-1230. And I mean like the Hoss hat from Bonanza, that big old 10-gallon hat. So we just want you to know you're welcome, even if you despise us, even if you hate our ever-loving guts. And we know there's a few people listening that do. Well, you know what? Liberal John called yesterday, yeah. and he was very appreciative of the work that Janelle King is doing. And I appreciate that, the fact that he agrees with it. Liberal John, he couldn't come on with us. He had a doctor's appointment, and we hope everything went well for him. We wish no ill will on anyone, and we welcome everyone to the show.
Yeah.
Again, 404-741-1230.
Including when you're transitioning.
Yeah. And that, that's what I was about to say.
I'm not saying that's
I didn't
what
want to
John's
call it
doing.
out. I'm not either.
No, I think
But
his
if you
is
do-
more of a traditional medical appointment.
I would. Well, you never know.
I don't know that for sure.
It's more fun if I play into some of these.
But even if you are, look, I hope you're over 18 and your transition surgery goes well and you're happy.
Very happy.
Absolutely.
No ill will toward anyone.
I hope you get the biggest guns in all of Buckhead.
But don't come out here as a bald man with 2 pigtails and make up like a crazy clown screaming that you're a 7-year-old girl and then
Or a
telling
dog.
me you need to hang out with
By all
7-year-olds.
means, I want you to have the biggest guns and crazy pigtails and everything else.
Me too.
That's so
You
weird.
want a bald, just 2 side pigtails?
Man, it's
I could do
Friday.
that.
My Friday mentality kicked in.
I can see it in your
It was like
eyes, too.
4:30 in the morning. As I'm getting up, I'm going, man, it's Friday. I'm so excited to do one more show and let's have some fun for the weekend. I got Texas and Georgia tomorrow.
my gosh,
I got
I'm so nervous
Georgia
about
Tech and Notre Dame.
I'm
Like I
nervous
got some
about that one.
stuff coming up here.
You do, and I don't think it's going to be a good weekend for Georgia sports. I really don't.
You're such Nelly negative.
I'm just expect the
I've
worst,
been
hope for
on
the best. That way, my heart doesn't get broken.
I've been on so many text messages where you're like, I can't believe we're going to lose. Then suddenly the game turns around and I'm like, shh, Sally, it's fine. They're going to win. It's going to be all right.
No, Lowe's has had to hold my hand through a few games before.
I'm just telling you, lay off the Brown stuff until third quarter.
No. Not a chance of that happening.
There's no way.
I mean,
can I ask a silly question?
0% chance. Yes.
Why can I drink 3 glasses, 3 fingers of whiskey, and have 1 glass of wine and feel like I just got knocked off the porch?
Because you're just not used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Telling you, it's the same thing. Rhino, I'm the same way. You can put quite a bit of vodka in front of me, and I can drop my Sprite Zero in there, and 4 or 5, and I'm still functional. Large glass of wine, which I'm not used to, and I'm like, when do I go to bed?
I got a headache in the next morning.
That's right. Me too. Yep. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, wine is like, you got to take it easy with
It's
wine.
a different animal when you're not used to it.
I'm telling you. And it's so funny to see women who drink wine because, they forget how many they've had at dinner or hanging out or whatever. And by the end of it, they drink a bottle of wine. I mean, a bottle by themselves. And it is like babysitting time. I mean, it's put mama to bed time.
My wife likes to get, and not in a mean way, but she gets argumentative in ways that, like, things she normally just lets go.
That's funny.
She then turns into, like, for instance, I'll give you this scenario. All right, Tug, pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
Well, that's the dumbest number you could have ever picked.
Yes.
You're like, what? Hold on a second. That's like, I just
said it's random.
That's what it's funny. And now drop in sports, and my wife becomes that person. It's suddenly she turns into like me in Afternoon Drive, like out of nowhere. And normally she doesn't care about any of that stuff.
That's so funny. Let me tell you, if you're on her team, like the time I got to watch the Georgia-Auburn SEC championship game over at Sports and Social, it's been several years back, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago now?
Yeah, the 2017 season, and there was not a hand near us that couldn't have gotten a high five.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she is the most diehard fan. She is cheering.
She's a yeller.
Yes,
she cried when we were in Indianapolis. As soon as Keely Ringo picked off that pass, the hug started and the waterworks. She started crying her eyes out over winning a national championship. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
I like that kind of passion. I like that passion, and
me too.
The good thing is Aaron is like that with the Green Bay Packers, except they're not good. So the yelling and the screaming in the bars at the TVs, and everybody else is like, what's going on there? Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing. My wife went to Georgia, and this will date her a little bit, but that's fine. When she went there, it was initially the Jim Donnan years.
Like a fine wine, dude.
And when they hired Mark Richt and things took off, so she was a girl who had, her family had settled in Alabama, and so she got in with it being in-state tuition and everything covered. By the time Mark Richt was done and her youngest brother tried to go to Georgia, they're like, no, we're not taking you. And he was better grades, better student, better everything else. So she looks at it as, I got into Georgia at the right time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Good for her. Let's talk about gaslighting just on the internet, because it is flowing, especially for CNN. Man, they're not afraid to gaslight anybody.
Man, I cannot believe that Kara Swisher at CNN, part of this is the panic that's going on, where it's now the denial of obvious truth. We had, more than 2 years ago, the dropping of the Twitter files that included a couple of, I would say, down the middle, if not left-oriented journalists in Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger, where they were given all the files of what the government was involved in social media, and that's when we found out how much the Biden administration was influencing social media. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and we got to see how they were trying to push influence through social media. We'll just take a listen to this piece of audio. This is Kara Swisher on CNN. This is being brought up as far as the influence of social media on the 2020 election, and listen to what she has to say about it.
There is no proof that tech companies colluded to do this. This is nonsense, and he knows it. No, I'm sorry.
There was a major institutional effort.
No, there was
absolutely.
Listen, I have been one of the biggest critics of tech. This is nonsense, absolutely nonsense. And when he just sort of discounts, the court cases, dozens and dozens of them.
Was the New York Post thrown off Twitter?
They were, and then Scott, let me try again to explain to you what actually happened. They made a mistake.
I know, and I lived through it too. They threw the New York Post, you had this
story off Twitter.
Scott, let's let Karen finish, because she's actually know what you're talking about. It's really hard to deal with you.
You want to insult me? Go ahead.
No,
laugh through it.
I'm not insulting you. I don't know why you keep repeating things that aren't true.
Did they get thrown off Twitter?
They did, and then they said that we made a mistake, and they put them right back on, just like CNN does, just like the New York Times does. It wasn't after the election. It was during the time, and they switched Jack Dorsey's switch. So I think what the issue is you think Twitter is the government. You think Twitter is running things, and there is not this wide collusion. But J.D. Vance knows that because he's worked in tech. He knows there is no such thing as big tech. There are big tech companies. They do not collude on this issue.
When the New York Post had the exclusive of the Hunter Biden laptop 4 years ago, they were thrown off of Twitter and they weren't allowed back on until weeks after the election.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg came in front of everyone and said that engineers automatically demotes anti-Kamala posts to help Democrats. They continue to say that Biden administration censored Facebook feeds of conservative activists and conservative members. What are you talking about?
Mark Zuckerberg pointed out that the FBI pressured them into calling any sort of Hunter Biden information that was going to come out Russian disinformation.
And to censor any kind of COVID-19 content.
And so now you actually have people at CNN. This woman's supposed to be plugged in. She's sitting on a national platform, and she's trying to remake history because history doesn't help her.
Of course. And she will continue to, and CNN will still give her a platform. Why would Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger, Democrats, why would they get basically cast away from their own party for telling the truth if it wasn't true? Like, why would they put themselves in that position? RFK same way, Tulsi Gabbard same way, Elon Musk same way.
By the way, at the time, Elon was still considered a good Democrat when he handed over to Democrat journalists. Here's why I bought Twitter, because look what they were doing with the government.
That's exactly right. Even the skewed polls are not helping Kamala. After a Neil Borsch report and a Fox News update, more of the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
So we're sitting around playing Parcheesi last night, and the Queen looks at me and says, why doesn't the media inform people that this country is not a democracy? And that started a conversation. You're right, honey, as always. When the hyena tells us that the rich need to pay their fair share, why doesn't the media then report that actually the top 1% of income earners pay 52% of all income taxes? And every time they talk about the right to vote, why doesn't the media tell us that the Supreme Court has ruled there is no constitutional right to vote in a presidential election? So many other minor things, too, like why doesn't the media remind us that there is no Social Security trust fund? Surely you can think of some examples yourself, and you probably already know the answer. Our national news media, most local news media, they are not objective reporters of the truth. They have an agenda. The agenda is overwhelmingly left-wing. The agenda is overwhelmingly Democrat. The anchors, the reporters, the producers, the columnists, they all want Kamala Harris to win. They despise Donald Trump. They want him to go away. And they are not going to report anything that could damage the Democrat message or could make people, voters, actually curious about some of the things they hear. Well, like the rich pay their fair share nonsense. The sad thing is that thanks to our government education system, most voters in this country aren't able to discern what the truth here really is. Hopefully, there are enough high information voters to overcome this. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
It's fall, y'all. And no matter what your family has on the plate, Subaru of Gwinnett has the vehicle for you. If you're headed to a game, then tailgate in style in the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester. It holds everything you need for the tailgate and keeps the most precious cargo, your family. safe. Maybe you're just taking a ride up to the mountains to see the leaves, or driving to spend time with the family. Wherever you're headed this fall, the 2025 Subaru Outback shares your spirit with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and up to 32 miles per gallon. And we're proud to offer you so much more than a car buying experience. At Subaru of Gwinnett, we extend that saving to our amazing and reliable service department, where you'll get unmatched service and specials you'll love during our fall service event. Visit us on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and let us show you how our family can take care of your family. Or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Xtra 106.3.
Mike, the engineer, says based on the yard signs he's seeing, Kamala will finish third behind Donald Trump in garage sale.
I hope. The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
He's meeting with a NATO ally. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden's in Germany.
Today, the Chancellor and I are going to discuss ongoing efforts to surge support to Ukraine's military.
This as South Korea confirms what Ukraine's president is also saying. That North Korea is going to send thousands of troops to join Russian forces battling inside Ukraine. The president also just commented on Israel killing Hamas's leader Yahya Sinwar, a mastermind of the October 7th terror attack that triggered the war in Gaza. Fox's Jackie Heinrichs in Berlin.
We just heard the president talk about the death of Sinwar really for the first time in depth, because the confirmation of it happened while Air Force One was in the air en route to Berlin.
The death of the leader of Hamas represents a moment of justice. He had the blood of Americans and Israelis, Palestinians, and Germans, and so many others on his hands.
The president's calling for a path to peace to get the remaining hostages free. But in a statement, a senior Hamas leader says Sinwar's killing will only make them stronger, as another Iran-backed group, Hezbollah, vows to escalate its fight against Israel from Lebanon. Former President Trump is about to go on TV on the Fox News channel this morning after he got some laughs last night in New York.
I'm supposed to tell a few self-deprecating jokes this evening, so here it goes. Nope, I've got nothing.
That was at the Al Smith Catholic Charities dinner. Presidential candidates traditionally go, but Vice President Harris was instead campaigning in Wisconsin. She sent a video with Saturday Night Live alum Molly Shannon reprising her Catholic schoolgirl role.
Does it bother you that Trump guy insults you all the time? Because it really bothers my friends and me.
Oh, Mary Catherine, it's very important to always remember you should never let anyone tell you who you are. You tell them who you are.
A death row inmate is still alive in Texas after the state Supreme Court blocked Robert Roberson's execution just before a lethal injection last night amid growing skepticism he's guilty of murdering his child. America's listening to Fox.
The big wireless carriers want you to overpay for data you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that. With Pure Talk, you get to choose how much data you actually want. For just $25 a month, enjoy unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Stop overpaying and switch to Pure Talk today. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk to switch and save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk for an additional 50% off.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, it's your old pal Neil Bortz. I'm back on Atlanta's only conservative news talk station, Xtra 106.3. Okay, here's more of the Morning Xtra.
Tug, Rhino, and Losa on Xtra 106.3. Later in the hour, Sean Still, Georgia State Senator from Johns Creek, up near where I'm from. Lived in Johns Creek for about, 7 years. Been in Alpharetta for 10 years, I guess, somewhere around there. But yeah, I've followed his work and seen him do good work in the community. Interesting, the position he finds himself in. So look forward to...
Don't be a Republican if you don't want to get attacked.
Dude, that's right. Which is what...
be labeled all these things, no matter what you say.
Dude, that's what Donald
They'll make up anything about you.
Trump talked about that during the Al Smith dinner last night, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it sounds like a choo-choo train come through here.
Yeah. We're getting the X chair back.
Actually over here.
Okay. See, what's happening
you're
is...
giving the guest the X chair.
Well, yeah, that's what Lowe's does.
That look impressive.
Yeah, that's right. So front office Lowe's is trying to prepare the studio for our guest Sean Still. That'll be here at 8:25, and then Diane Jackson, who will be here at 9:25. So a busy rest of the morning. But that dinner last night was so incredible. The fact that Kamala Harris didn't show up is so on brand, and Donald Trump was very on brand. I'm unburdened by Catholic comedy. Funny. He was so funny, dude. I just sit and giggled. I laughed out loud several times, and I can't remember a time recently that I just sit and watched a Donald Trump speech and I actually chuckled out loud. I'm not saying he wasn't funny ever, but what I am saying is that he knew what he was doing. He was steering the speech, steering the conversation, and looping in people like Chuck Schumer and Mayor Adams and making this a fun and funny evening as it was supposed to be.
My favorite part about all of this was that there were so many inside political jokes that if you're barely paying attention or a little paying attention, well, then you didn't get some of it. But if you pay attention pretty well, that 1% out there, you got all of the jokes. And he even a couple times was okay, that one was too mean. He's like, okay, that was funny to me.
The funny one was de Blasio, where he's like, yeah, but that's not a joke. That guy is just horrible. He's a horrible person. But, the other side, Kamala Harris sends in her video because I think there's two reasons she doesn't want to be there. Number one, her stance on abortion. She doesn't want to be seen there.
Right.
Number two, tough audience for that.
Yeah, tough audience for that.
And for her voters, they don't want to see her there.
They don't want to see her there. They don't want to see her there because, they hate religion as well. So I think that's why she stays away. Then she sends in a video, and this just kind of reminds me of who Kamala Harris is. She talks down to all of her constituents because her constituents she thinks are dumb, especially 18 to 24, right? But it's like when Dan Quayle would go on like a Sesame Street and be like, well, Elmo, let me tell you, if a man comes up and offers you candy, you don't get in a truck. That was her Molly Shannon and her little skit. It wasn't funny.
Girl skit, yeah.
Mary Catherine, it's okay. Don't be afraid. Blah, blah. Like, what are you doing? Weird. She is so out of touch with reality. It's just, she's not fun. She's not joyful. She's actually really unlikable.
Donald Trump, when he issued the line, I used to think Democrats were crazy for saying men could have periods, but then I met Tim Walz.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was funny.
Like, that's hilarious. Because he said the part out loud that everyone else does not feel comfortable saying, like, okay, he's special, but nobody goes down any other road. Yet he did it in a very funny way in the right audience. If you say that at a political rally, it probably doesn't ring the same way. You say that at a roast, a Catholic-oriented roast, it's perfect.
Chuck Schumer still has the opportunity to become the first female president, and Chuck is sitting down to Trump's left. And Chuck, actually, I got to tell you, man, he took it in stride. There wasn't a whole lot of like pouty body motion. You know how you can tell when Democrats are uncomfortable or don't like what's being said? They make it obvious. Even though they can't say anything, they'll make their body language aggressive or jolting and jittering. Chuck took it in stride.
I'm telling you, you go watch Jim Gaffigan. You can go watch him when he did the Joe Rogan Experience, and it's clear his politics does lean left, yet I think he was so disturbed with what has gone on in the last several months. I love the joke. President Biden couldn't be here tonight. The DNC made sure of that.
That's exactly
it's like you have a comedian who's typically pretty left-oriented, and he was making jokes about his own party about how you ran the guy out and you're talking about democracy.
I don't have the exact line, but there was a place where he said about Kamala not showing up. He was like, she didn't want to be seen here.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a show on CNN. You're never going to be seen, which is so good.
Yeah,
there's a
funny
buzz,
too.
and then they talked about white fake dudes for Harris, and the fact that he's probably going to get the wives and the boyfriends voting for him.
The New York Times didn't find this good at all. Didn't find it funny. Thought it was crude and rude. They said the funniest appeal was Miss Harris promising Miss Shannon she wouldn't mock Catholics at a Catholic charity event by explaining that would be like criticizing Detroit in Detroit.
Which fell flat.
It's comedy.
But that's the thing. Like, even in the Fox News
they
update,
did admit that everything she did really fell flat with the audience.
It's a roast. The whole idea is that you're going to pick. There's a reason why. It's not one person on stage. It's a multitude of people so that you're bouncing jokes off of everyone on a regular basis. And apparently there was two people that got that. Jim Gaffigan, Donald Trump.
Yep. That's it. Nobody else. Fox News, they played that cut specifically at the top of the hour. And Rhino had to explain it. And I even said to Lowe's, I said, if they have to explain the joke, the joke's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not funny. Here was a funny one, too, when Donald Trump was talking about Tim Walz as well. Unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say he was.
Yeah, that was still hilarious. Again, it's all little joke. I mean, again, there's nothing there. It's not like you're bludgeoning anybody. No. It's just little subtle fun jabs. And there's a reason why he's got Chuck Schumer over to his left, and he talks about, man, I gave Chuck Schumer one of his first checks to run for political office, and then he starts with a handful of jokes. It was because it's supposed to be lighthearted and friendly and fun. And it was. And again, it considering what had happened in the last 24 hours of watching Kamala Harris with Brett Baer, to then see, all right, Donald Trump, when's your next time on stage? And he was lighthearted and friendly and fun. And, he had the needle out a few times, but it was never ugly. It was more of, all right, let's make some jokes here. Let's have fun with this.
But we know how Democrats can't take jokes. We know how they attack comedians and everyone else. They can't hear that, The joy left. The joy left as quick as Kamala Harris left being Indian. Look at that. I even got one in. The reality of this is that they don't have a sense of humor about any of this right now. They're scrambling. They lost. They weren't going to show up to that dinner no matter what. And part of the reason is they know they have to work so hard because they're losing, and they don't want to admit they're losing. They don't want to admit that this race is out of touch.
They don't have to admit it. But it's clear what's happening.
I give credit to Chuck Schumer. I even give credit to Letitia James. I mean, you had so many of these icons of New York that were there, and they knew as soon as I take this seat, I'm a target for comedy.
Yeah.
And yet they still decided to do it. They still decided to say, all right, fine, I'm going to take these shots. It's part of what's going to happen here. But, again, credit to them. Credit to Jim Gaffigan for going against his own party and having fun with that. And then ultimately, credit to Donald Trump for striking the right chord of, I'm going to get the needle out. I'm going to make some fun of you guys, but I'm going to keep it to a level where it doesn't come across as ugly. Remember, that's a fine line.
Remember the line when, if you watched it last night, talking about Kamala Harris and the child care plan. Listen to this.
A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies.
Oh, my.
Keep him away. That's a nasty one.
That's a nasty one, he said.
Now, here's the thing. Great. We get it because we covered this on a regular basis. How many people, flyover states-oriented, go, hold on, so Doug had an affair with a nanny and got pregnant? I mean, those are the sort of jokes where if you get the inside baseball, you got the inside baseball there.
Yeah, and he went on. I like it. He said he went on in that one and said, I told these idiots that gave me that stuff, that's too tough.
That's a nasty one.
The other one I like that Gaffigan had was President Biden couldn't be here tonight. The DNC made sure of that.
Yeah, right. It's so good. And remember, there was the story about Cheryl Hines, and it was like a tabloid type story that Cheryl Hines was leaving RFK Jr.
By the wife of RFK Jr., who's been in Hollywood under Curb Your Enthusiasm for years. She plays Larry David's wife for the better part of 20 years.
Lovely lady. I probably don't agree with her on a whole lot of things, which is fine. But if you saw them there at that dinner last night, at the Al Smith dinner, they were very cuddly. They were very... Not handsy, but they were. You could just tell there's nothing wrong. Loving. That's the way it is. There's nothing wrong with their relationship.
Heavy petting.
But I don't think it was that.
I'm telling you, we got a chance to interview her. Maybe this is like the second or third season of Kerr, back when I was working in Dallas. She was so incredibly gracious and so incredibly fun.
Yeah.
And so when she went down this road where it's when I didn't know that she was married to RFK Jr. And so when they started talking about his wife catching flack for the stuff that he was bringing up, predominantly healthcare oriented wise, immediately in my mind, I'm like, Cheryl Hines, the bad girl? I was like, no, like Cheryl Hines was incredibly cool when I met her. And to this day, I will never believe that she's not a good person who's backing her husband.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts, 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is the website. The Hill is promoting skewed polls. No surprise there. Most polls are skewed to benefit Democrats. But even now, Rhino, even skewing the polls are not helping Kamala enough.
No, the Hill is very sad to report that there's an election trend concern for Kamala Harris and the Democrats right now, and momentum that Kamala Harris had early. And, you know, even we talked about it when I was like, hey, this momentum will pick up. Yeah, she's going to have big rallies. She's going to have that. Tell me about a rally that you've seen her at lately. You haven't. You haven't seen these big rallies. You haven't seen the left putting up all this because momentum's gone. Joy is gone. People aren't seeing it. They're seeing the numbers. They're very worried. The Hill is worried. All the Democrat media, we've seen how they've been acting. The numbers aren't looking good for her. When you start to look at these swing states, even Nevada, she's now trailing in Nevada. So she's trailing in every single swing state in reliable polls when you actually look at some of them.
I'll tell you, it goes back to that, the poly market thing with it, and then
there's a surge going on.
But you're seeing it in the betting markets. We do it a whole segment. If you missed it, go back and listen to it on the Xtra 106.3 app. You can listen live and on demand. But those people are not fools. They don't build those huge resort casinos on winners. So what do? They know how to handicap this. And if they see it and the polling sees it, everybody sees it, there's a reason there's anxiety among Democrats. There's a purpose for that. It is to tell you better start acting, just like when you have anxiety as a person.
So Janelle King was our guest in the 9 o'clock hour yesterday. We're going to have Sean Still, who's going to join us, the Georgia State Senator, coming up in the next segment. And I know that both of them are acknowledging the same thing. Early voting is doing really well for Republicans. And it's a shock because so many of us were talking about get out and vote early. Yeah. Get out and do this early. And it goes completely against traditional voting where most Republicans out there traditionally have always waited till day of. It's almost like a red badge of courage. I waited till the day and then I showed up on election day. They are turning out in droves right now, record numbers. And so when you start to see some of this interest, when you're like, why are these events that she's doing, they're not seeming to work, and you're trying to figure out why does the steam seem to be coming out of these people, it's because they see all these early numbers, and I believe they recognize, we're in trouble from this group that's coming after us.
You know, the good thing that they've done to encourage this is that they started this early. You remember before Lara Trump took over, Rona McDonald was saying, hey, we've got to change the way, we've got to change our ground game. We've talked to Kelly Loeffler how many times about changing Greater Georgia here and what they need to do. Scott Pressler, I mean, I know I've said it before, that man is a hero. What he's done in Pennsylvania.
Get out and register people and get them to go. Yep.
But we need to be grassroots. This first time I went out, I've been voted this early. I've never voted early like this, but I do think it's important. When I was in line, besides the one guy I told you guys about yesterday, otherwise everybody in there, I knew exactly who they were voting for, and it wasn't a blue ticket that they were voting for. But these numbers that we're seeing in the Hill, who does their decision desk, and they've never been close to other polls. Even now they're saying she's losing an average of 4 percentage points in each swing state in their polls.
04 and 08, I talked about having to wait. That was so much of Bush versus Kerry, and then the fervor that was Barack Obama that turned out so many people. And for the better part of the next 15, 16 years, I was in and out of my polling place in 5 minutes. It was 45 minutes, day one in Forsyth County. There was a line out the door and around the corner, and there was this fervor of, I'm getting in, I'm getting my vote, I'm banking it, so it's there and it's done. And now, for me, I can focus on which one of my neighbors, which one of my friends need to get to the polling place. Who can I talk to get them out there?
No, I love it. I'm the odd man out. I've not voted yet, but will vote. I will.
You're a terrible Navy man.
No.
You're a terrible sailor.
There's many things that in my life that I've done.
Well, I know you're not going to do it this weekend.
No, because
Georgia and Texas are playing.
Well, but we're headed to Charleston too. I mean, the minute the show is done, we're headed to Charleston.
Well, go vote there too.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, look,
be a good Democrat. Let's go.
That's exactly right. You could. It'd be the way to go. We know
find an old person and wheel them over there.
Just listen.
Like, we're voting with.
Just tell them that you just got here to the country. You're new here.
That's a good idea.
Tug Elizondo, and you're here to vote.
Hola,
exactly.
Me llamo Tug Elizondo.
Hola, friends. I'm here to vote.
Dude, they don't. When they hear this hillbilly accent, they ain't gonna buy that. They ain't nobody.
We're gonna work on this.
We've
got like an hour and a half for you to get this thing done.
You say Hola, me llamo Tug.
Hola, me llamo Tug.
Okay, we need a lot of work.
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
I'm just telling you. Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. Republican State Senator Sean Steele joins us next to discuss this November election. We have so many questions about the disinformation game that is being played against him, and we'll ask him those questions, get his input, and introduce you to him next on the Morning Xtra. Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10. 404-741-1230 is the number if you want to be involved in the show, too.
Atlanta radio legends, proud military vets, national network experts are all on Xtra 106.3.
It's going to be an interesting couple of months.
With live and local shows in the morning and afternoon, and the biggest conservative hosts in the country throughout the day. We are always here with the latest news and opinions you need.
There's no chance if the media and the Department of Justice and social media are all against you.
No traffic interruptions, no former shock jocks, just Atlanta legends you've turned to for a generation. The conservative voice of Atlanta. Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but the cold air is coming fast. That means a couple different things to me and you. Energy bills will be rising and company coming over for the holidays. Dan Watkins here with all Four Seasons garage, entry doors, and windows. It's time to get your house ready for the winter air and your holiday visitors. The good news is that we have you covered for every opening in your home. So call us today to set up a free estimate with one of our amazing sales consultants. They'll help you pick out the perfect garage door, front door, and windows for your home.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, founder of Rough Greens. Rough Greens is not dog food, but because dog food is dead food, it needs to be supplemented with live, powerful nutrition. Go ahead, take a bowl of your dog's kibble and put it on a shelf and see what happens after 2 to 3 years. You know what happens? Nothing. No mold, no bacteria, nothing happens. Because you know why? There's nothing alive in it. Dogs need live nutrition, which is why I formulated Rough Greens. with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega oils, and so much more to help your dog with all of their health issues. I'm so confident that Rough Greens will help. My dogs and I will send you a free Jumpstart trial bag so your dog can try it before you buy it. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve their health. Just sprinkle on a little Rough Greens. They'll love it, and it's an easy and smart way to get your dog feeling better and living longer. A free Jumpstart trial bag can be yours. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Friday, October 18th. Eternal Vigilance Action, an organization founded by former state representative Scott Turner, has filed an appeal against Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox's ruling that the state election board lacked the authority to pass new rules for the 2024 election. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley criticized the ruling as judicial activism, defending the rules as common sense measures that ensure election integrity. A Barrow County grand jury has indicted both 14-year-old Colt Gray and his father, Colin Gray, in connection with the mass shooting at Appalachia High School. After hearing over 2 hours of testimony, the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges and Colin Gray on 29 charges. An arraignment is set for November 21st. And in sports, the Cleveland Guardians won their first game of the ALCS with a 7-5 victory over the New York Yankees. New York holds a 2-1 lead in the series. Meanwhile, the Dodgers defeated the Mets 10-2 last night, giving them a 3-1 lead in the NLCS. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
Tug Los and Rhino here on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We have a special guest this morning, Sean Steele, Georgia State Senator, and we've been catching up, and it's so great to have you, man. Thank you for taking the time to come in.
Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, man. We always want to support folks that are doing good work in the community, and especially when they've been branded some sort of traitor to their country. So, usually we goof in here. If you're getting called names, you're pretty close to the target. And it seems like it might be that way with you.
It's when you see people wearing these Trump Vance t-shirts that say I'm voting for the outlaw and the hillbilly. I don't know which one I fall into the camp wise, but
hillbilly for
hillbilly.
Hillbilly.
Yeah, hillbilly.
For sure.
And I guess I'm the traitor, and I guess I look at it, and I've joked around about it before. Once everything did occur in 2021, there was this weird feeling of, I'm not supposed to be part of this group. And then as we start digging into the information, we had Janelle King on with us, with the Georgia State Election Board yesterday. The more we're trying to just get to the bottom of this stuff, you shouldn't be vilified for asking questions of your government. And I think so many people were vilified for just asking questions about what's going on with their government.
That's absolutely true. So in my case, I was one of the Georgia electors. I showed up to a meeting that lasted less than 28 minutes, walked in. We did exactly what the attorneys told us to do, which was we were doing this only to preserve the ability to have an election challenge, right?
Sure.
So if the results had overturned, if any of the 12 or so pending challenges had changed the results and we had not met as electors, it would have mooted the legal challenge because we hadn't met according to the U.S. Constitution. We were very clear that we were doing this only as an alternate slate. We were doing this only as a contingency. That was said clearly for the media that were all in the room. And when I say media, I mean like the Associated Press and WSB. It's not like, some out of nowhere, fly-by-night, closed
random
website. Something you never heard of. Right.
If you're going to commit, massive crimes, you usually don't do it in the middle of the day with all the cameras recording, court recorders present, open for anyone in the public to see at the Georgia State Capitol. So we knew that we were doing it for all the stated reasons. We were explicit of why. We only were following attorneys' counsel on it. We did it, and we left, and we went to lunch. I went to lunch at the OK Cafe with some of the other folks, and then that was it. 2 years later, I get elected to the Georgia State Senate, and I'm the only person who served as an elector, who walked in and walked out, who had no planning, who had no officer role, who had no other function in that room, and then I got indicted.
Well, you were running for office. Now, history tells us that in 1960, JFK won because in Hawaii they put the Democrat fake electors in, and those electors at one point sent their slate in and then realized, hold on, they're going to do the recount. Once they did and it was qualified, then they said, oh, yep, okay, and then they had to redo it. So this isn't something that's been in history. That's never been a problem before, and it is something that we continue to do, but as long as you're on the right side. So how do you feel like you've been treated so far from that point on and now, and is it getting worse?
I think you grow numb to it. You build scar tissue, up to it. You had mentioned there were fake electors in Hawaii. They were never called fake electors. That was one of the.
Yeah, I added that for them since that's what they want to use.
Since they coined the term.
Yeah, they coined it.
Yeah, they did, and we from the beginning just said we are just doing this on an alternate basis. We weren't trying to portray ourselves as some other thing. We weren't trying to do it as some great protest, right? So, what does it do? It's tough, when it first happened. I have 3 teenage daughters. One of them sitting here in the studio with us. It's pretty impactful as a dad when your kids are getting stopped in school, when friends are saying, when teachers are saying, and other folks are stopping them. Hey, did I see your dad in the news? Did I see your dad's mugshot? And one of the great wins as a father was after the initial shock wore off of getting booked and all that. And I will say the folks at Fulton County Jail were great. I was in and out, and I went in the same night as Donald Trump. I just didn't get all the media attention.
They didn't put your picture on a can of beer moving forward.
They're walking in through and dragging you.
But every one of my daughters now, how your phone where it shows a picture when somebody calls in? Yeah. So my sweet little 13-year-old sitting in the studio with me, when I call her phone, it shows my mugshot.
That's awesome.
I got to tell you.
That's a parenting win.
And I want to bring that up with you as Georgia State Senator Sean Steele is our guest here on the Morning Extra. When I got a chance to hear you talk to the many of the Republicans over in Forsyth County at the event that was earlier this week, you talked about what it's going to be like when all of this goes away. There's a part of me that sits back and says, I look at it as like a plus for you that you stood up in this way, or not even stood up. You just did what constitutionally you were supposed to do, as you're pointing out. And so, I've got a 13-year-old daughter. I would be a little bit weirded out initially if she was to say, okay, my dad's mugshot pops up on my phone. But there's also a point of pride that dad was supposed to do the right thing constitutionally at a time where things were going pretty haywire in this country.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, how they came to realize it. And so from the right, it's been exactly what you described, right? Like thank you for standing up for us. Thank you for taking one for the team. Any one of us would have done it if we had been called on to do the same. From the other side, there have been mailers. Over $1 million has been spent in my race trying to unseat me. It's the most contested state senate race in Georgia. Over $1 million, and every dollar of it has been negative. It is, he's gone on a crime spree. He's looking at 20 years to life.
Should we feel danger right now with you in the room?
Seriously. Clearly, if you were to believe any of the things that are happening. And so it's just this insane rhetoric that's happening. And what's ironic about that is my fellow legislators, the other senators that I serve with on the other side of the aisle, not a one of them has thrown that in my face. They respect the fact that I've carried so many bills, and that every bill that I've worked on has had some level of bipartisan support and participation. I've never carried a bill once that was strictly, a party line, hardline vote. And so I think they've appreciated that, and they've stayed out of it. A lot of times senators will pick teams and they'll go all in and really fight each other. They've stayed neutral because they understand and appreciate. They knew what I did. They know my character, and it's just right now it's just partisan bashing.
I want to go back and talk to you about, because I think it's relatable to people. How did you talk to your daughters about that? It's it's funny that their picture on your phone is a mugshot. But for people that have no idea what you're going through, but probably have been through messy divorces or whatever it is, like, what is it that you told? Did you sit down at the dinner table?
Yes.
Did you? Is that what? Or did you do it at church? What happened? How do you talk to your kids about it?
I sat them down and I just explained, like, this is what I did. This is why I did it. And it stinks. And so we're being caught up in this narrative. where people are trying to take down President Trump. They're using us. They're creating this whole narrative and lie about what's happening. And to put it into perspective, I spoke to a reporter off record that works for one of the major newspapers in Atlanta, if we can connect the dots on who that was.
Uh-oh.
And I said, why have y'all been, so one-sided nasty about this? And she said, we probably owe you a huge apology, but we can't because you wouldn't talk to us. Because you were under indictment, you couldn't give your side of the story. I can now because it's been 2 years, really basically after the fact. So, the dust is settled. But because it's been a one-sided thing and all of their information and all their spin's been coming from the left, that's why everything from the media is going that way. And so for those of us that were indicted, and by the way, when you're charged with RICO and conspiracy, for racketeering, and you've literally, to this day, I've never met Donald Trump or Rudy Giuliani or any of the other people from Washington.
Sorry, your criminal syndicate that you've never messed with.
Never texted or emailed or any of that with any of those people. I knew 2 of the people that I was indicted with because they were from Georgia. I still to this day, have never met any of the other folks. So it is clearly lawfare. It is clearly a situation of them just trying to take me out. It was a way for the media to try to help the left do this. And we know from open records requests that Nathan Wade and Fani Willis met with Kamala Harris in Washington the day before
February
it dropped.
It's interesting that you bring that up because when all this information came out, we made it a point to go to whitehouse.gov. And we ended up, before anybody was talking about it in Atlanta, we're like, here are the 3 different visits that she made during that time period. So when she gets up on the stand or she tells the media, I've never met with them in the White House. I'm like, no, you met in the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
And here's the information that's right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with Fani Willis now, she's trying to bring back the 6 charges that, are there. What do you think the motivation behind this is besides just creating this narrative and trying to interfere in an election? There's no truth. There's nothing that was happening. We've seen this in 2018 with Stacey Abrams. We've seen the Democrats continually do the same things that we were looking into elections and wanting answers for. Is this just election interference and lawfare against all of you?
This is an ambitious woman who wants to run for governor or attorney general or get an appointment to the White House if Kamala Harris wins. That's what this whole thing has been about. She knows there's not a case. And mark your calendars, folks, because December 5th, when the hearing begins about whether or not she gets disqualified on the case, that's when the real fun comes out, because then she's going to get her chance.
Do you think this goes away if Donald Trump wins? Do you think she just falls apart and drops it because there's no more political gain for her?
No, she'll double down, and she's going to hold out, and she's going to push this. But I believe that if the Court of Appeals disqualifies her, she's going to appeal it, and this will drag out to the middle of next year, and then eventually it'll just fade away.
It's interesting because we've had a former prosecutor in Sarah Hobson who does some advertising within the company. She was one of the first people analyzing all of this, coming on this radio station and saying this goes away as soon as it gets in front of a court. Where when we get past the procedural aspects, as soon as it gets in front of a legitimate court to analyze this, all of this ends up fading away.
I agree completely.
It's unreal, the things that are happening in our state, and we had Janelle King on to talk about it the other day, or yesterday rather, with the state elections board. How do you feel about that, being in elected office? Because there's that part of me that is true blue, love the United States of America, served in the Navy, much like you. Thank you for your service, sir. That I want to believe, I want to trust. Like that is my desire, to trust that when we have an election, the results will be trustworthy. And right now, I don't feel that way, and I think there's a lot of Georgians that feel the same way. How do you address that with your constituents and with people listening right now?
I would leave it at this. I love Janelle King. I think everything she is saying, and I think that she is doing everything right. I think Judge McBurney, and remember, this is the same judge that
he got thrown off, yeah.
Yeah, right. So he's also the one that tried to overturn Roe v. Wade. He's also the same one that allowed the grand jury to move forward on the Elector case. That never should have happened. He is the most liberal judge in the Georgia court system. He has got to go. And we're giving him free rein to be able to make these decisions. It's going to nothing that he's ruling on, I think, is going to stick. He's another one that's doing it strictly to be able to throw roadblocks in the way of good government and conservative ideals, and trying to make sure that we have fair elections, and he's part of the whole process that they're trying to do. He is absolutely, it's so clearly evident the timing of what he's doing and what it's happening right before the election. I mean, to throw Roe v. Wade in there in September, really? Of all the times to do it, right before the November election. And so because of that, that's what the Democrats have been able to pivot their message on. You can look at the exact timeline of everything that he does, and it's exactly in sync with the Georgia Democratic Party's mailers, attack ads, everything else they're doing. Within days of his... Now, I've only been in office for 2 years. I'm running for re-election. We haven't had a single vote on heartbeat or health, women's health in any way, shape, or form, but yet he rules on that. And then immediately a mailer goes out, I don't know, but 50,000-piece mailer on my district saying Sean Still kills Georgia women.
Yeah. So you brought that up. We got a chance to meet with you earlier this week where I have not had one vote on anything that has to do with abortion. And yet that is the attack just because I'm the Republican running, for state Senate.
Absolutely. That's what they do.
I want to go back to what you were saying about the judicial activism by McBurney and now Thomas Cox, too. What do you do? What do you do for this in the state? What do we do for this nationally? Because it's not something that's just happening here. It's happening in every state. We've already seen people try to take Trump off the ballot in Colorado and Maine. This kind of judicial activism is very dangerous for this republic. What can you do at a state level?
At a state level, we're really fortunate to have an amazing governor, an amazing attorney general, an amazing lieutenant governor that are not going to let that happen. And, looking at the actions of Chris Carr's office and how they just immediately, shut down these judicial rulings and litigate it back. I feel so blessed to have the kind of leadership from Kemp, Carr, and Jones on that. But if we were in another state, I don't know what you do in that. I really don't.
I will say this when it comes to Chris Carr and Burt Jones, it may go against some of the things, but go Dogs, because that's they're making sure to take care of some people around here.
Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3. State Senator Sean Still joining us, and we'll continue. When we come back on the other side of the break, I want to talk about your opponent and some of the things that is being said.
It's wild.
Being done, and the interview that you're going to do later today because of the accusations that have been made against you that will blow your flipping mind. Next on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the camera. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Another assassin tried to kill the former president. Why 2 attempts in the last couple of months? Well, could it possibly be because of the way Donald Trump's opponents and his media arm are talking about him?
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Well, I woke up this morning, I thought I was going to freeze to death. I am not cut out for winter. I don't like it. I ain't ever liked it. I've only seen snow twice my whole life. So I don't like it when it's cold. And if you're like me, stay warm with Carrier products from Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck and his team been serving the Atlanta area since 1947. A lot of these companies, HVAC companies in Atlanta, have been bought out. They still use that local name, hoping that you won't investigate, you won't look at them and say, well, wait a minute, they're not really based in Atlanta. And if you don't need HVAC services, you probably won't. So Carrier systems are designed to keep you comfortable in the hottest or the coldest weather. Advanced cooling technology and warming technology, you'll enjoy a refreshing home no matter what the temperature is outside. Right now, you can save up to $2,000 off a new Carrier system. That's right, $2,000 to ensure that you're comfortable all winter or all summer next summer, because that summer heat will be back. Carrier systems come with excellent warranties for added peace of mind at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They pride themselves in better service through knowledge. Turn to your Atlanta Carrier experts. That's Central Heating and Air Conditioning, 770-GET-HEAT or centralheat.com.
Extra 106.3 listeners are falling in love with Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell.
Me and my wife now find our favorite sandwich place. That food over there was great.
Yeah, those rolls are so soft and sweet. I mean, it was just melt in your mouth. It was, and the steak was tender and juicy and flavorful. I can't say enough about it. It was very, very impressive.
It was so good.
Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell on Woodstock Road your new favorite spot for lunch or dinner. Nucky'sHoagies.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding, thin, and dull hair, and hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
Listen up. This is David Van Sant from Van Sant Law. I usually use this time on the radio to remind you if you're in an accident to make the right call to Van Sant Law. While this is true, this upcoming election is so important, I just need to speak from the heart and shift the focus from my firm to the future of this great country and urge everyone not only to go vote, but to make the right vote and to cast your ballot for Donald J. Trump 2024 to make America great again. Thank you so much, and God bless America.
Paid for by Van Sant Law.
Intelligent technology that's more intuitive. Electrified power wrapped in sporty elegance. Meet the 2024 Mercedes-Benz C300 sedan. The leader of the pack with a sensual interior, the C300 sedan is a driver's delight and paradise for passengers. Experience the 2024 C300 sedan today. Lease one today for just $509 per month for 36 months with $4203 due at signing. Exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models. And visit today to see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through October 31st, 2024. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station is always streaming live across Georgia on the Extra 106.3 app. Get the live stream and your favorite Extra podcast anywhere you go. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now for Apple or Android.
Georgia State Senator Sean Still joining us on the Morning Xtra. Tug, Rhino, and Los. I want to tell you about a conversation we just had during the break, and it goes to really illuminate and highlight the character of Sean. I had told him, thank you for your service in that last segment, and he corrected me. Unlike Tim Walz, who is a guy that talks about going, carrying weapons of war in Afghanistan or wherever he said he was. Turns out he was in Italy. There's so many things that he struggled with when it comes to getting the story right. And you corrected me, and I wanted you to let everybody else know your story because you're being accused of stolen valor.
Among many other things, yes. Trying to steal an election. I caused the January 6th riots, and apparently
wow, that's a good list. If you're going to put together a list, might as well have a good one.
Did you write Project 2025 too?
I did this as well.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
I haven't even read Project 2025. So when I was a college student at the University of Alabama, I'm sorry, Georgia fans, I did go to Bama, but I got recruited there. I went there to swim. I went there to swim. I work in the pool industry today, but I went to Alabama to be a swimmer.
Well, Roll Tide. That's where I got my master's degree. So you got friends. You got friends in the room. You're good.
But growing up in Jacksonville, Florida, I grew up right outside the front gates of Mayport Naval Station, and I learned a really quick lesson about if you're not going to be Olympic caliber as a swimmer, you're probably not going to get a full ride scholarship. And so here I am, only child, single mom. A lot of student loans trying to pay for out-of-state tuition, and I realized that I was not going to get a full ride, so I joined ROTC, and I did Air Force ROTC the remainder of my time. I was a cadet colonel, had a great run with it. I wanted to go to flight school, and it was at that time where Bill Clinton had got elected in 92. I graduated college in 94, but the Soviet Union had collapsed, the Berlin Wall fell, and our motto, jokingly, kind of tongue-in-cheek, was pray for Cold War, because we knew that without Cold War, there would be no more strategic air command, there would be no more missile silos, there would be no more long-range bombers or anything else like that. My whole reason for going in was to go to flight school. I had a slot to go to NAV school in 1994. That would have been great, great track for me to go. They canceled flight school in 93. They canceled flight school in 94. But because of my family's connection to Mayport and a very, very long naval history, they said, we're going to, while we're trying to sort this out to see if there's something opens up for you, we're going to make you a GS employee. We're going to stash you with public affairs office. I was a communications major, made a lot of sense. I knew half the base. I had, practically grown up at that base. And so a public affairs officer is the same title as a civilian as it is for active duty military. It's one of the very, very few jobs that holds that same rating. So I was made the deputy PAO of Mayport, and then actually was assigned to the admiral staff on board the USS Saratoga, an aircraft carrier. Spent a summer at sea. And my job was to be able to work with young sailors, how to talk to the media, how not to say dumb things when they ask you about that phrase that Clinton had come up with about gays in the military, the don't ask, don't tell phrase. So everything I did was attached to that. Because I have told people that, I have had my own service too, that I was a public affairs officer, but I've never once in my life claimed to have held a rank. I've never once in my life claimed to have taken the oath. I was a public affairs officer. I was a GSPAO. I got to live the coolest life. I got to spend a summer basically doing deck ops on the Saratoga.
There you go.
It's like the opening scene of Top Gun, and I got to spend a summer doing that. I mean, some really, really cool stuff as a young kid. But because of that experience, and because I have spoken about that, the left, my opponent, has spun that in saying that I have claimed stolen valor and that I have somehow dishonored veterans. And I don't know that there's anybody who never, ever wore the active duty military uniform that honors and respects the military more than I do.
And I find that to be that criticism that you're getting from your opponent to be ridiculous. My father-in-law spent 35 years as a civilian logistician with the U.S. Army. He was deployed four or five different times. His last time in Afghanistan, where they were getting shelled on a regular basis. So just because you are attached to the military in that way, though, as a civilian, it doesn't mean in any way, in my opinion, that you're degrading the fact that you're bringing up, hey, I have this kind of respect and I spent this sort of time. To have your opponent try and treat that as the same as, hey, I was in the military. Well, you were never in the military. It's like, no, these don't equate to one another, in my opinion. They just don't.
They don't, but it's just one of a large pile of things that they've tried to attack me on. So it's whether it's women's rights on healthcare, if it's military service. And by the way, the guy that I'm running against hasn't lived in the district, but for 4 months.
Right.
He grew up there, went to high school there, moved away for college, moved away for law school. Comes back home, and back in the 1800s, they would have called him a carpetbagger.
Sure.
But, essentially that's all he's done. He's moved back in, and as one great, well-respected Democratic strategist said, if they really thought that your seat was something that they could flip, they probably would have put somebody more than an unemployed college student who lives in his basement with mommy and daddy. And that is what we're comparing against.
He's a Gen Z candidate that, one thing I've seen out of the left, usually you get a little bit of truth. There's always like a kernel of truth out of Democrats, maybe a little bit. But the lies that they continue to spread and the lies that they continue to push out that, about Project, like all the ridiculous lies, even the Harris. This one's picked up on it right away, this Gen Z candidate. All he's done is attack and lie about you and about Georgia in general. And now this guy's like a computer hacker.
Well, he calls himself an election integrity expert. He calls himself...
I don't think those exist.
Right. He calls himself an internet, security, cybersecurity expert. And it's great that if you've had little internships throughout your life that you can call yourself an expert on anything, but he's never actually had a job, okay? He's also not on the list of anyone who passed the bar exam this year. So, I mean, literally, he does not have a job. He lives at home with mom and dad. He concocts these lies sitting in his basement and coming up with it. The most devious one of all, though, and it's not really a hacking thing. This is just a legitimate request that he did. They're also saying that this is a lie, and he's edited his website and deleted all of this. But fortunately, we have all the screenshots and all the evidence to make sure that it is 100% true. Mm-hmm. What he did was back in January of this year, he made a request to all of the North Fulton high schools requesting the names of every student not just voting age students.
Yeah, as young as 13.
Yeah.
5,300 students in just North Fulton. I want the names of every student. There is no reason at all any candidate should ever ask for that. Now, because of FERPA laws, the federal election, protection of kids, they rightfully sent him a denial request. But he used a gaming platform called Discord for all of his campaign communication. So everything was in Discord. Anyone could join it. You guys could join it. We joined it, and we encouraged our area principals to join it as well. And Mr. Internet Security Expert did such a great job of locking down that internet security that anyone could join his Discord and anyone could see it. And what we saw and what we tracked over the course of several months, immediately after they were denied, there was communication between him and his campaign team. Well, we were denied. Why did you want to get their names? I wanted their names so I could match it up to their addresses and phone numbers. Why does an adult, anyone over the age of 21, why does somebody want the names of children underage voting who are not eligible to vote? And then we read there further, and what they did is they put kids in buckets. His campaign manager literally in one of their group chats said, if you're Vietnamese American, DM me, like direct message me. If you're Korean American, DM me. But if you're Indian American, I already have your contact information, know everything about you.
Whoa. Yeah. Right. And again, we're talking about underage, typically.
Has he answered this? Has he answered why he would do this other
running
than
for this?
He's running hard. Initially, he said...
that brings up child predator-like feelings in my mind, and this is, that's a scary... I have a 14-year-old son. If I mean, in all honesty, if I would have gotten a text from him, or my son would have, I think I would have lost my mind.
A lot of people got upset about it. So he denied it. He said he didn't do any of these things. Then he pivoted and said, I was just trying to get kids engaged and that I was trying to do this. Then he pivoted further and said, I just wanted their name so that we could match it to voter rolls. His story keeps spinning. And it's just like anytime you catch a toddler lying and then their story changes over and over and over again. So where they're at right now is that they're in full denial mode. He's got a Gwinnett County commissioner who's posted a video yesterday saying that it's all lies and I'm trying to slander his good name because he's just trying to get kids involved. But we've got the evidence. We've got all the screenshots. We actually, and this guy's such an internet security expert, failed. The number one rule in politics is when you're going to run, register the internet domain name of yourself.
Yeah.
He didn't. We own it. So if you go to ashwinramaswamy.com, you can read the full report. But we took the moment to redact the names of the children to protect the innocent.
Amazing.
Where can folks find out more about you, Sean?
My name, Sean Still, ShawnStill.com.
There you go. Easy enough. Thank you, man. Appreciate what you do, and we're pulling for you, and I hope to have you back after you win.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. Morning Xtra at Xtra 106.3. When we continue, we've learned that women are not single-issue voters. After a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update with more of the Morning Xtra.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
So we're sitting around playing Parcheesi last night, and the Queen looks at me and says, why doesn't the media inform people that this country is not a democracy? And that started a conversation. You're right, honey, as always. When the hyena tells us that the rich need to pay their fair share, why doesn't the media then report that actually the top 1% of income earners pay 52% of all income taxes? And every time they talk about the right to vote, why doesn't the media tell us that the Supreme Court has ruled there is no constitutional right to vote in a presidential election? So many other minor things, too, like why doesn't the media remind us that there is no Social Security trust fund? Surely you can think of some examples yourself, and you probably already know the answer. Our national news media, most local news media, they are not objective reporters of the truth. They have an agenda. The agenda is overwhelmingly left-wing. The agenda is overwhelmingly Democrat. The anchors, the reporters, the producers, the columnists, they all want Kamala Harris to win. They despise Donald Trump. They want him to go away. And they are not going to report anything that could damage the Democrat message or could make people, voters, actually curious about some of the things they hear. Well, like the rich pay their fair share nonsense. The sad thing is that thanks to our government education system, most voters in this country aren't able to discern what the truth here really is. Hopefully, there are enough high information voters to overcome this. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Extra 106.3.
Are you planning for your big day? Are you picking out the venue, the cake, the menu, the dress, the tux? And you can't forget about those wedding bands. Well, you're in luck because Wedding Band Weekend is back at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. October 25th through the 27th is the best time to save big on those wedding bands that you'll say I do with. During Wedding Band Weekend at Solomon Brothers Jewelers, when you buy her band, you get his for free. And to make your purchase even easier, we're offering 60 months interest-free financing on all of the top wedding band designers in the industry. That's 5 years to not worry about paying for those beautiful rings that symbolize your commitment. And remember, no matter the price, you'll find something nice. So come visit us October 25th through the 27th to shop for your wedding bands in Buckhead on Peachtree Road, Alpharetta, Old Milton Parkway, and Sharpsburg on Highway 34 and Fisher Road, or online at SolomonBrothers.com.
The party that's been screamed the most about election interference from the Russians is wanting millions of people to cross the border legally and vote in our elections.
That's right. The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Trump on TV. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The former president was just on Fox and Friends.
I am the most stable human being. Remember they said a stable genius. I am the most stable human being. I've been doing this for a long time.
As for his rival, Vice President Harris.
She's a low IQ person. She's not smart. Everyone knows that.
And the former president touted his outrage to minority voters.
I just saw a Hispanic poll where I'm at 52%. Nobody's ever seen that before.
Later, he'll campaign in Michigan. So will Vice President Harris, who said at a rally in Wisconsin.
The American people are exhausted with his gaslighting.
Now, President Biden's in Germany for talks focused on further helping Ukraine battle Russia. As South Korea's spy agency joins Ukraine's president, saying North Korea is sending thousands of troops to fight with Russian forces in Ukraine. The president has also just talked about Gaza, saying Israel's killing of Hamas's leader, Yahya Sinwar, was justice.
Let's also make this moment an opportunity to seek a path to peace, a better future in Gaza without Hamas.
Now, Israel's prime minister says the war is not over. And a top Hamas official just said they will not set hostages free in Gaza until there's a ceasefire and Israel withdraws. Fox's Matt Finn in Tel Aviv reads more of Hamas's statement.
It seems that Israel believes that killing our leaders means the end of our movement and the struggle of the Palestinian people. We believe that our destiny is one of two good things, either victory or martyrdom.
A condemned man woke up this morning on death row in Texas. But Robert Roberson wasn't supposed to until the state Supreme Court blocked his lethal injection last night, like many state lawmakers in both parties had called for, including Rep. John Busey.
He knows this isn't over. He wants the truth to come to light, and the Texas House is working to do that.
Now, Roberson was convicted of murdering his 2-year-old daughter in 2002 by shaking her, but doubts are growing about his guilt. Even the lead investigator in the case now says he was wrong then and Roberson's innocent. America's listening to Fox News.
The big wireless carriers want you to overpay for data you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that. With Pure Talk, you get to choose how much data you actually want. For just $25 a month, enjoy unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot.
Stop overpaying and switch to Pure Talk today. Dial pound 250 and say the keyword Pure Talk to switch and save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk for an additional 50% off.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Want weather? Grab your phone. Need traffic? Grab your phone. Conservative news and talk, also on your phone. Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Xtra on Extra 106.3. It has been a busy morning. It seems like life is just running at breakneck speed, and we've got so many things that are going on that we want you to be a part of. The second annual Extra 106.3 680 The Fan Veterans Day Golf Classic on 11/8 at Heritage Golf Links. It is going to be a fun day. I am not a good golfer, but Rhino and Los pick me up and they tote me. Yeah. And they make it fun. It's
because you're drunk.
You're a quality drinker.
Just because I'm good at it, don't mean I'm
great golf advice. You do. What do you think I should hit here, Tug?
Yeah.
7.
Right, exactly. And that's why we lost. So they were listening to me, which they should never do. But it's just a great outing, and it benefits the Warrior Alliance, which is the official veterans partner of the Atlanta Braves, and they are on the first floor of 2 Ballpark Center, where we are broadcasting this morning at Dickey Broadcasting Company and Extra 106.3. We want you to be a part of this, too. Learn more at extra1063.com. Want to thank Beaver Toyota, Corona Beer, Henri's Bakery, Scana Energy, Zero FG, energy drinks, and Real Tree Apparel, all involved. It is going to be a fun day. Lots of food, lots of prizes, and also good golf. Because, like I said, Rhino and Los, good golfers. Me, not so much, but I am one heck of a golf cart driver. Me and Board Up Goey Virgin River can drive a cart like nobody's business.
Well, no, let me ask you this, because I want you to enjoy the Tito's. I want you to enjoy some of the other good food and everything else. And
that's right.
Can we have Joe drive?
Yeah,
because you're a great driver, but I want you to.
We had 2 carts last time, Rhino.
That's true.
I like Tito's too,
but I have many years practice of driving in these events, and
the golf cart is
the golf cart. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
I'm willing to give it all up. I really am. I'm willing to give it up and
just come and chill and relax.
That's what I want to do. Thank you. That's what I've been wanting to do. Absolutely right. We're lucky to have a great guest. Her name is Diane Jackson. She's running for Georgia House District 42. And you are a first-time candidate. And Rhino said something really funny because he's got a great sense of humor. But it turns out to be true. You did grow up in a middle-class family.
I did. I certainly did.
Well, I grew up in a middle-class family, too, so we're good.
Well, I told her, look, people get nervous when they come on radio, right? And whenever you're running this, and she said, she was joking about, don't ask me any hard questions. And I said, if we do, all you have to say is I grew up in a middle-class family. And she goes, well, I did.
Is the truth. But a first-time candidate, Diane, why is it that you decided that you wanted to represent the folks around here in Smyrna?
Well, it's a good question, and it was all sort of an accident. I had been running for and helping with the elections for 5 years here in Cobb County. I've lived in Smyrna for 25 years. I've had my own business for 20 years in marketing and communications, and before that I was in corporate America. And I decided that it was time to step forward and do more. But actually, I will tell you, it was a calling. So I'd done this for 5 years, and so one day you were able to go and sign up to be a precinct manager or something, and I signed this piece of paper, and I get a call, and they asked me to run for the Georgia State House. And I said, well, let me meet with you and find out what that means. And so, hope this isn't too long of an answer.
No, please. I love the origin stories are the best things when citizens get involved.
It is, and it was wild because I met with the person that was recruiting me, and I said, well, now tell me what's going on. So the incumbent, Terry Anulowitz, had been a 2-term candidate or a two-term
representative in the House.
Thank
yes,
you,
absolutely.
Thank you. And so this was her third term. She had been unopposed twice. This was her third term. All of a sudden, there was a gentleman running against her on her party. No one had come on the Republican side, so I said, I will step up. What were the statistics? She won 68% 2 years in a row. And I thought, I'm in communications. I've been marketing communications for 40 years with large companies like Viking Range Corporation and Lodge Cast Iron Cookware. I know how to move the needle. I can move the needle. Can I win? I don't know, but I can move the needle.
Okay, really important question about that. Lodge. Can you use Dawn soap in cast iron?
Yes.
Oh, you're a yeser.
Yes.
I
So
say
there's-
no.
there's a long story.
I say a no, too. I'm a no on that one.
Okay.
The questions are about to get real hard.
They're going to get real hard. All you do is soak it for 10 minutes, and you can wipe it out with a paper towel, but you have to season it again
Okay.
and put it on the stove. It's a little longer, but all you do is wipe it out. There's no scrubbing or anything. You can literally clean it with a paper towel.
Well, I don't know what to say about that because I grew up in a middle class family. But I want to ask you about. So, like, as you look at that 68%, and you say, because some of this is just, and I talk about this all the time. It may not be the first run. It may be the second run. It's about making inroads. How do we get that closer to? Hey, I'm making inroads. You know what? This time around, this person may have only got 55%. And then at some point, that seat becomes in jeopardy for them.
However, drum roll, we wake up the following morning. I get a call from the AJC as I'm trying to get the results. Because, the results down on the ballot in the primary are not easy to find. Or at that time, I was trying to find them. And so I found out that a Democratic Socialist of America beat the Democrat.
Uh-oh.
He spent $50,000, knocked on 11,000, paid people to knock on 11,000 doors, and he beat her.
Wow. And
So-
that's when you were like, well, this can't stand.
Well, that's when I knew that somebody upstairs
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, put that in
Needed
jeopardy based
someone-
on that politics.
needed someone in communications to build websites, to get out email campaigns, and do all this in 4 or 5 months. I mean, that's all we've had. And we have made major inroads. So only he knows what will happen and all of that. And, but that's what happened. And so I don't know who was more shocked. The incumbent, I know the other guy wasn't shocked because
you spend $50,000 for that seat for this job. That's pretty significant in the area.
And him being a member of the Socialist Democratic Socialists of America, they have 90,000 members. So he has, and they have to they have to reveal this in their reporting. So they're from all over the country. They're not from this community.
Yeah.
I'm from this community. I've been here 25 years, had my own business for 20 years. I already said that. But he's not from this community. Now, his parents are from Colombia. So anyway, we don't want to talk all about my opponent. We want to talk about me and my qualifications more than.
Is that resonating for you? Being that you are a local, obviously 25 years, and when you knock on doors and everything, how is that working out when you say, I'm from this community?
So it was the one thing I have to tell you honestly I was dreading in the whole campaign.
Yeah.
What, the door knocking or the fundraising?
Fundraising I've done. I worked with the Atlanta Press Club for 15 years and did their fundraiser. I got to work with Ambassador Andrew Young in the Olympics as a press operations officer. I mean, I had a wonderful, wonderful career being able to do these kinds of things. But the one thing that I was hesitant to do was door knocking.
Yeah.
And do you know, it is my favorite thing to do.
Now, why were you hesitant? Were you just scared of the reactions you'd get? Were you scared of some of the crazy leftists that might be in that area? What was the reason why you were so scared?
All of
or
the
you
above.
just?
I think all of the above, and I had never done it.
Okay.
And these days, nobody wants to talk to anybody, or you think they don't,
Right.
but they do.
Boy, they unload, don't they?
Well, they don't. It's not even unloading. They love having someone to talk to,
Right.
and discuss the issues and and I want to listen to what they have to say.
They want to be heard. People
They
want to
be
be heard.
They really do, and it is my favorite thing to do.
I love that.
Now, I look through your opponent, and, I continue to, and you're right. I mean, this guy is a socialist from
27 years old.
27 years old. He is a dangerous, dangerous candidate and pushing through dangerous ideas that only work for some people in the area. And for Smyrna, this is a scary candidate who is very against, like, the police. And we've worked with the police so many times in this area. They are a blessing to this area.
He is so much against them that for the past 2 years, he's been one of the lead protesters at Stop Cop City in South Atlanta.
My goodness. We are talking
2 years.
Diane Jackson, first-time candidate, grew up in a middle-class family, and she's running for District 42. So when you get to discuss what's happening in Smyrna with those people that you're knocking on the doors that you were hesitant to do and now realize that you really enjoy it.
Love it.
What has been the feedback? What are people telling you about this race and about just the general election that's coming up?
So people really want to get involved. I mean, they really want their voices heard, and they really want to get involved. And it's amazing how many people say, "What can I do?" And they'll, get involved, give a check. They'll put a sign out. They'll say, "I'll follow you on social media," whatever. They really want to get involved. But people are really concerned about 3 things, and not necessarily in this order, but safety and law enforcement. Our law officers are treated like dirt. They have no respect. And when they do, get people and arrest them for, real crimes, nothing happens. And so they just cannot be treated like this anymore. The second thing, obviously, is inflation. I mean, that's, nationwide, but easily fixable. A lot of these things are easily fixable. And I think the third thing is their children, protecting their children, and will there be anything left for their children? Because everyone, and a lot of these people are saying, this is the race. This is the race that I have to get out. And I'm talking to 88-year-olds. I'm talking to 27-year-olds. I'm talking to all kinds of people with large families. They are really concerned. They're concerned.
This is Diane Jackson. She is running for Georgia House Representative in District 42. Your opponent, and I find this to be interesting because as a vegan, as a soy boy myself, I look at this when I say, that's definitely a soy boy with way too much estrogen going on. For when you talk about inflation and he's pushing for a $20 minimum wage, these are the sort of things that when you are 27 years old and you don't understand how the economy works, you're looking to damage the entirety of the community with these sort of things. There's a fundamental misunderstanding with Gen Z are largely really into these races, and I believe they're coming more your way, more my way. We have to point out some of their brethren are not suggesting things are going to help them moving forward.
Exactly.
I mean, part of it, look, this guy is, and just kind of backing up you there, this was his statement. I'll campaign for legalizing marijuana, ending the failed war on drugs, investing in infrastructure, bike lanes, street lights, usable sidewalks, regulating guns to get them off streets, including an banning assault weapons.
Yes.
This man is talking about things that, again, the fake opportunity economy that people don't have. And in Smyrna, I love the area. I play softball in the area. I go to the parks. I go use the recreation more than any other in the area because it is so beautiful. Bike lanes, street lights, everything is there.
Yes.
These are all lies and things that he's trying to put in about investing in the neighborhood. You want to talk about inflation and adding money in. This is a man who just wants to do this.
He wants the government in control. And I say that because this has been written in the in newspapers. Both the AJC and the Marietta Daily Journal is reporting, the things that he says. And he says, I am a proud socialist of America. We didn't really want this episode to be about only my opponent, But I think it's really important that people know what's going on. I'm highly qualified. I've come from corporate America. We've talked about this before. I've had my own business. I know what it means for 20 years to have your own business. I lost a lot of things in the Obama years. I lost my condo. I lost most of my business, but I was able to pick it back up. So I know what it means to lose things, and I know what it means to have not great government and leadership in control.
Yeah.
Diane Jackson is our guest. She's running for District 42 with the Georgia House of Representatives in Smyrna, right? In Smyrna. And here's what I would say about that. The fact that you have been a community leader, a business-oriented person in the area for 25 years, you have that foundational understanding. And I think that's one of the lines you get to draw with someone who's 27 years old, we like to joke around it as make-a-believe. Okay, these things that we're going to, I'm proposing these things that will never happen, whereas you're grounded in, this is what we can do, this is how we can help the youth, this is how we can help our community.
Right, exactly.
So I want to ask you about local elections specifically, because those aren't as sexy as the presidential election.
No.
But as we've discussed on this show so many times, that's where the actual work gets done.
Local first.
On your, you know, the things that matter to you. You talk about people being concerned about the future, being concerned about kids and safety. What do you have to do as a candidate to bring that attention to the local races, to convince people that, okay, it's not as sexy. They don't talk about the Smyrna district like they do Washington, D.C. How do you get people engaged and help them realize the important stuff is actually in Smyrna, not in Washington?
Exactly. Well, with the voters, you knock on the doors. Okay? And then in government, that momentum has already started. I believe that has started in a very big way. And in fact, from what I'm understanding is that the Democrats are starting to put a lot of money into the lower races.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. I can't prove that.
We've heard this from a number of different candidates, actually.
Yes.
Money flooding from outside of our communities to local races.
He has very little money from this community, and they have to. You have to report everything where you get. I've gotten a little bit of money outside of here. I have friends in Savannah and some other friends and family, but I mean, it's $100 here, it's $50 there, and it all adds up. And I had a senator say to me, I won my biggest race. In fact, I'll call him out, Barry Loudermilk. I won my best races with being the underdog and having no money. And I thought, well, could you at least give me $100?
Come on, Barry. Step it up, Loudermilk.
Goodness gracious.
Just $100.
So when it comes to Smyrna, what is one of the things that you really want to get done right away?
So hold that question, hold that answer, because we come back and we're going to get Rhino's question again, because it is such an important question here locally. What is it that needs to get done in Smyrna? We'll do that after the headlines. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug, Rhino, and Los, along with our guest, Diane Jackson, first-time candidate running for Georgia House Representative District 42. Next on the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3.
This election is the biggest of our lifetime. So Extra 106.3 is rolling it out with a huge broadcast for live coverage of the presidential election. Tuesday the 5th, we're live and commercial-free all night long. It starts with the Kimmer Show, followed by a huge live broadcast with the entire Extra staff. And it's not only on the air, but also streaming live on YouTube. Plus, we'll be taking your calls and comments live on the air all night, bringing you the results as they happen and breaking it all down with Neil Bortz, Janelle and Calvin King, Joey Jones, and so many others.
You can trust Extra 106.3 to be the voice you need right now.
The best election night conversation and your calls all night until a winner is declared. All live on the Extra 106.3 app, streaming live on YouTube and over the air on the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM.
Man, I woke up this morning. It was so cold outside. I'm so tired of the fall, and it's just getting started. I am not cut out for it. I don't want no part of it, but it's here. There ain't nothing I can do about it. The leaves are falling at the house. I'm raking. I'm using the leaf blower. I'm sure the neighbors love that humming sound. I don't do it early in the morning. I will say that. But with fall here, there are unpredictable storms, and your home's roof and siding have to be ready to handle this weather. Southern Exteriors is the reliable roofing and siding option. They've been servicing the Southeast as well as Atlanta since 1999. When you need a new roof, if you need repairs, or you need durable siding that'll stand up to the elements that we're going to face, Southern Exteriors is here to help. Plus, they're offering free estimates and 0% financing and no payments for up to 6 months. I would encourage you, if you have seen that little bitty brown spot on the inside of the house there where the ceiling is leaking just a little bit, there is nothing worse for your home than water and mold and all the things that go along with it. Call Southern Exteriors today at 8779-SOUTHERN, 8779-SOUTHERN, or visit southernexteriors.co, their website. Make sure you get it right. It's southernexteriors.co. Southern Exteriors, quality and precision you can rely on.
Hey sandwich lovers, today's your lucky day. There's a whole new way to roll for lunch or dinner delight with Nucky's Hoagies in the Roswell Corners Shopping Center. Now open. Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell is family owned and operated by the Sub-Sisters, Stacy and Shannon, whose love language is food, and Nucky's Hoagies, their passion. When you bite into a Nucky's Hoagie, you'll taste the difference. The softest hoagie rolls ever, along with hunger-quenching sandwich combinations. Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell on Woodstock Road your new favorite spot for lunch or dinner.
It's fall, y'all, and no matter what your family has on the plate, Subaru of Gwinnett has the vehicle for you. If you're headed to a game, then tailgate in style in the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester. It holds everything you need for the tailgate and keeps the most precious cargo, your family, safe. Maybe you're just taking a ride up to the mountains to see the leaves or driving to spend time with the family. Wherever you're headed this fall, the 2025 Subaru Outback shares your spirit with standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and up to 32 miles per gallon. And we're proud to offer you so much more than a car buying experience. At Subaru of Gwinnett, we extend that saving to our amazing and reliable service department, where you'll get unmatched service and specials you'll love during our fall service event. Visit us on Satellite Boulevard in Duluth and let us show you how our family can take care of your family. Or start your shopping online at SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Hey, are you paying crazy rates for your health insurance? Call Doug Moore at 770-697-0100. Your health insurance cost shouldn't look like a house payment. Are you tired of having things not covered, like doctor visits, labs, etc.? Doug can help, so call him at 770-697-0100. Doug sells all forms of health insurance. His plans have no deductibles, and you don't have to switch doctors. If you're paying too much for health insurance, Doug can help. He has over 20 years experience. You can go to his website and request a quote. Go to yourchoicehealthplan.net. That's yourchoicehealthplan.net, or call his cell phone at 770-697-0100. Doug can make a plan that you will be able to use. Call 770-697-0100 and he can help. Or go to his website to request a quote, yourchoicehealthplan.net, and contact him. Doug says don't fret. Go to yourchoicehealthplan.net and he can bring rates down. 770-697-0100.
Hi, this is Ben.
And I'm Walt from Horizon Background Screening. There are two ways that we generally help businesses. First, as they're going through the hiring process with people, help them to find the criminal history. If somebody's on the sex offender registry, needless to say, most companies need to screen those people out. If they're going to be driving a vehicle, if they're going to be in people's houses, we need to make sure that we understand what their history is to protect your company and to protect your clients, but also to protect your employees.
Our pre-employment background checks, FCRA compliant. We're going to make sure you stay good with the EEOC, all those kind of things. Our PI stuff is going to be a little bit different. We can dig a little bit deeper. We have different avenues, and we can get into kind of the weeds of things, which on those kind of cases we want to do. 25 plus years, we've just been blessed with growth and have basically become a nationwide provider of both pre-employment background checks and private investigative services.
The best way for people to find us is on our website. A quick Google search of Horizon Background Screening, or look at us at horizonscreening.com.
The the stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines, presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Friday, October 18th. Eternal Vigilance Action, an organization founded by former state representative Scott Turner, has filed an appeal against Fulton County Superior Court Judge Thomas Cox's ruling that the state election board lacked the authority to pass new rules for the 2024 election. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley criticized the ruling as judicial activism, defending the rules as common sense measures that ensure election integrity. A Barrow County grand jury has indicted both 14-year-old Colt Gray and his father Colin Gray in connection with the mass shooting at Appalachia High School. After hearing over 2 hours of testimony, the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges and Colin Gray on 29 charges. An arraignment is set for November 21st. And in sports, the Cleveland Guardians won their first game of the ALCS with a 7-5 victory over the New York Yankees. New York holds a 2-1 lead in the series. Meanwhile, the Dodgers defeated the Mets 10-2 last night, giving them a 3-1 lead in the NLCS. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Extra 106.3.
Diane Jackson, Georgia State House District 42. She is running to defeat socialist Gabriel Sanchez. She joins us on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. You can find her website is Jackson, 4ga.com. Jackson, 4ga.com.
All right, Diane, I want to talk to you because you've been in Smyrna for 25 years as a corporate executive, a local business owner for over 21 years. You understand this area. I love this area. I love Tolleson Park. I love everything that has to do with Smyrna. What is the first thing you want to do? When you get in there, what is the one change you think Smyrna needs right away? Or protection even?
So one of the, I guess there are really two, but the first thing that people need to get under control are the taxes. So when I moved to Smyrna 25 years ago, I was in Fulton County and I was purchasing a condo, and the taxes alone are the reason I ended up in Cobb County, in Smyrna. But I also had friends here and I loved it. So taxes are completely out of control in the entire state. I mean, it's not just Smyrna, but in particular Smyrna. Another big thing that's going on in Smyrna that is not something I can fix on a national or on a state level. However, it affects the entire state is the voter integrity. There's a lot going on with the Board of Elections. I'm not going to go into all that, but there is a lot going on with that. But the other thing that I really, really, really want to focus on is police training, police law enforcement, getting their power back, allowing the police to do their job. Not only that, respect them, pay them, and if you're going to take criminals in and arrest them, don't just let them back out.
Right.
I mean,
because
you're
they're doing their job in vain because you're approaching a dangerous situation. You handle it with professionalism, which is what we expect and demand.
And they do.
And then if they're re-released, the danger you put yourself in as the officer has been in vain because you're about to have to do it again.
Exactly.
It's unreal.
But as a state legislator, with the state election board and our elections in general, a lot of people don't feel safe.
They don't.
And I'm one of those. And, Carlos and I both probably made the same joke when they said your vote's counted. We're like, is it? Because you don't know anymore. Right. So would you look at some of the new rules and say, hey, maybe we do need to legislate these and make sure that, these partisan judges and these activist judges can't overturn the way we want to protect and ensure safe and safe elections?
It's insane. I think we need to go back to the Constitution.
Imagine that.
I mean, if we go back to the Constitution, all this stuff that is happening will go away. So let's go back to the Constitution. Let's respect it. Let's implement it. And let's stop all of this insanity that keeps going on, not only on a state level, a federal level, a local level. I mean, every judge in the world is now getting involved. Okay? Wipe it out, start over, because they want to eliminate the Constitution. That's what they keep doing with all these things.
Yeah. Diane Jackson is our guest. She's running in District 42 in Smyrna for Georgia House of Representatives. And I think that's an important factor. It's that when you talk about getting back to the Constitution, We're talking about rule of law.
Exactly.
And that we are not going to rule from the bench. We're not going to have things established by the courts. It's going to be by the people, by our representatives who will determine where we should be at and where we're going moving forward.
Exactly. They need to stop changing it. Why are you changing it? I went to the Capitol a few days ago with a church group, and we went to, they give you an hour tour, and it's wonderful, and you start in the rotunda, and there are wonderful images of our founding fathers. Our tour guide never mentioned them. He introduced us to Oglethorpe, and why Georgia is named Georgia because he named it so the King of England would allow him to do it. However, above it were beautiful, beautiful paintings of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin. He did not say a single word about it.
Do you think that is by design, is what I want to say? But do you think that the tour guides, and this is a irrelevant question, really, but I've been fascinated by it. I'm concerned by it. Do you think that the people that are giving those tours are told, do not mention this, or do you think that's a personal decision?
It's a personal decision. And he told me because I asked.
Okay.
I said, are we going to be able to go back in a nice way? I said, are we going to be able to go back to the rotunda? Because I noticed there were the founding fathers, and everybody in the group didn't notice it. And he said, oh, well, I change up my speech every now and,
Okay.
Let me ask you, too, about this, because one thing I know about Smyrna, they have some great schools there.
Yes.
And
some of the best schools in the country.
And I want to keep them that way. And I want to make sure that we have the right education, that we're following a good curriculum.
Yes.
But I also want to make sure my kids are safe when they go to school. And one of those things is some of the teachers that go in and they start pushing their politics on our kids. We just had Sean Still in here, who he's running up against someone who went to a school and used Discord to get information from our kids. That's what's scaring me more than anything. And the transgender issue of kids being able to come in and play girls' sports and take away from our daughters. Talk about how you feel about what you need to do to protect our schools.
Get back to the Constitution.
Once again.
No, I mean, seriously.
But you're 100% right. You're not wrong
really,
in any of that.
all of this stuff that they're rewriting and allowing in schools, these kids are coming out and they don't even know anything. They don't know how to hold a job. They don't know how to live a life. Can you imagine one of them having a mortgage?
No,
and not living with their parent? I mean, you're right. It is a huge issue.
Let me ask you this. Diane Jackson is our guest. She's running out of Smyrna for District 42 for the Georgia House of Representatives. When you are doing the door knocking, the statistics will basically say you have 65% of Smyrna that considers themselves religious, Judeo-Christian ethics, the heart of the Constitution. When you're talking to people, how much is that a factor when they start sharing their belief system with you? How much are you picking up on that?
So I allow them...
By the way, because your opponent mocks that on his Twitter feed and everything else.
So I'm really actually glad you asked that question. I am a Christian, but I don't push that off on anyone. That's private for me, for the most part. And again, getting back to, you used to not talk about sex, religion, politics. You used to not talk about
those are all
things.
out the door.
Not
in front of this microphone.
Right, but not anymore. Now it's all people talk about. So when I talk to people, I am telling you that the majority of the people that I talk to bring up religion.
I understand why.
Yeah.
And I do explain to them that I do believe this is a calling for me. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but I signed up a piece of paper that I thought I was going to be a precinct manager, and the next thing you know, I'm running for the Georgia House. I'm highly qualified for it. I'm not afraid of it at all. I've run boards for 40 years.
Does that resonate when you talk with those people?
It does.
And I'd imagine so.
Which part, though, or
they
both?
usually bring it up.
Right.
But which is more important to them, your faith or your experience? Because for me, it's faith.
It's both.
I want a combination of both, but
actually,
I'll tell you that the faith conversation gets your foot in the door at times.
It does, but it generally comes up just a little bit later. It usually comes up when we start having a little bit of a conversation. But what I'm doing is educating people about what's going on. Because when you walk up to a door that is an independent or a Democrat, You know, you can't just start off and, start.
Jesus loves you.
Yeah. Yes. But when you have a conversation and you educate them, my biggest role between now and the election day is to educate voters in Smyrna who's running.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know that a 27-year-old activist is running.
Going back to the whole thing with the Washington D.C. sexy local is not Rhino.
No, it's not. And I think we have to educate people on the truth and the issues and how much they matter, because when I hear some of these people speaking and some of these younger that want to get involved in politics, they're so misinformed in what is going on and what the issues are.
Totally. And not just the young people, the older people too. I've been fortunate that I've been able to do a segment on Newsmax with Carolyn Ryan. It's on my website, and you can probably catch it on Newsmax.
We love Carolyn. She's great.
Yeah, I was able to do a podcast with Ben Burnett. The day I woke up after the primary, someone called from the AJC, someone called from Channel 11. It ended up in USA Today. It ended up in the Associated Press. So this is not just a local story at all.
What's been the most surreal moment for you through all of this? I know you feel like I was signing up for a precinct manager, then suddenly here is where I am. Was there a moment where you woke up and you read your name in a paper and went, what?
When the AJC called the following morning, followed by Channel 11, and then being in the USA Today, for you. It was like, whoa. but I'm in communications. The odd part about that is that I'm used to promoting people, promoting products,
and not yourself.
Now, right.
I get it.
And it's different.
Diane Jackson, she's running for Georgia State House District 42, running against Gabriel Sanchez, an actual socialist, the Democrat Socialists of America. Jackson4GA, the number 4, Jackson4GA is her website.
This is a guy that when I was looking at some of the things on his personal Twitter feed, we're talking like anti-Israel, anti-America, wow, all of it.
That's exactly who we don't need being involved in any decision-making in Smyrna and anywhere in the state of Georgia. As we close out, Diane, is there anything that we missed? What do you want people to know about you? What's your elevator pitch?
I want people to know that I am a conservative, that I plan to reach across the aisle. I plan to work with both sides. I mean, I think that there's plenty of room to do that. And I think that that's the way the country needs to go. And I want to thank everyone, all of you guys here at the Morning Extra for having me on and letting me share my story. It's important. It's very important to this community, and not just this community. I think the state and the country.
There you go. Well put. Well said.
Thank you so
We
much.
wish you nothing but the best, and we want to see you win.
Thank you.
Here for the people of Smyrna. So,
thank you.
So God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And by the way, once you do win, you have to come show back up again.
That's right. Yeah, you can't forget us.
You can't forget us, not the little guys.
Yep. Thank you.
When we continue on Extra 106.3, got some little laugh for you decaf. White Dudes for Trump comedy. Next on the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Tug, Rhino, and Los, we're on the air until 10. Then Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton, the biggest show in all of conservative media. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. Kimmer Show from 3 until 6 here on Extra.
The legend Neil Bortz is live every week with Atlanta legend The Kimmer.
Well, I don't know whether you've seen the Babylon Bee. You get a kick out of this. Babylon Bee, a couple of quick headlines. Hezbollah starting to think they should not have gotten their pagers from Levi Gold Bromstein's Pager Emporium. And one more. Israel kills thousands more terrorists with exploding 200 free hours of AOL CDs.
Oh, you're terrible. I like the little messages that are showing up on the pagers when you look at them. Yeah. You know, like one of them just said 72 virgins calling.
Waiting for you.
Yeah. And the other one is from the liver to the knee.
I haven't seen that one. The liver to the knee.
Bortz and The Kimmer are only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, it's front office Los for Howard Brothers. By the way, that was Diane Jackson. She's her own sort of storm. Well, that's a good storm.
every now and then in Georgia, we get bad storms, and we've seen some of this happen in recent weeks. That's why you have to be ready when storms get nasty. How are you ready? Get yourself an Echo generator from Howard Brothers. You'll be ready for whatever comes your way. Maybe you're somebody who has to pay attention to somebody who's elderly in your home. Maybe you're elderly. Maybe you have a child that requires some sort of electrical device in order to help them with a health-related issue. Well, that is where you want to make sure that if the power goes out when these crazy Georgia storms happen, that you've got the generator to keep things rolling, and you do that from Howard Brothers. Don't wait for the storm to hit. Visit your local Howard Brothers. They have been going bonkers when it comes to making sure that anyone who is making sure that they have the power they need when they need it, they've been able to help them out. You basically walk into Howard Brothers, you say, here's what I need to have powered, here's how long I need to have it done, and they're able to point you in the right direction on what kind of Echo generator you're going to need. Be ready. Well, I said we're getting into that crazy time of year. Stuff's going to get cold. Trees are going to fall. You have to deal with that sort of stuff. You don't want to be left without power. Make sure you take care of your power from Howard Brothers and Echo. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Echo and with Howard Brothers.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Xtra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Get ready for unfiltered conversations on The Janelle King Show, where we tackle the topics that you won't hear at your family gatherings, but they're absolutely crucial for a strong republic. Don't miss us live every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Xtra 106.3. But if you can't tune in, that's okay. You can catch new episodes every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. Join us for these discussions, and I can't wait to meet you there.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
Are you planning for your big day? Are you picking out the venue, the cake, the menu, the dress, the tux? And you can't forget about those wedding bands. Well, you're in luck because Wedding Band Weekend is back at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. October 25th through the 27th is the best time to save big on those wedding bands that you'll say I do with. During Wedding Band Weekend at Solomon Brothers Jewelers, when you buy her band, you get his for free. And to make your purchase even easier, we're offering 60 months interest-free financing on all of the top wedding band designers in the industry. That's 5 years to not worry about paying for those beautiful rings that symbolize your commitment. And remember, no matter the price, you'll find something nice. So come visit us October 25th through the 27th to shop for your wedding bands in Buckhead on Peachtree Road, Alpharetta Old Milton Parkway, and Sharpsburg on Highway 34 and Fisher Road, or online at SolomonBrothers.com.
The Morning Extra has you covered until 10 a.m. Then it's Glenn Beck, Clay Travis, and Buck Sexton at noon, and The Kimmer Show taking over at 3, only on Extra 106.3.
Woohoo! I gotta
to tell you, this show has absolutely flown by. It just seems like we just sat down this morning, and here we are at the end. But
doesn't feel that way for Joe.
Well, Joey's had
the longest show I've ever been.
He's been busy the entire time.
Yes, you've been hustling.
You know
and
what
we
the challenge
appreciate
is? We've had so many guests and so many things we've had going on. That puts a strain on Joe because when
He's a
you're-
one man.
Well, when you're left in the control room and you have a guest, like for instance, Georgia State Senator Sean Still showed up about 10 or 15 minutes early for his interview. So that left Joe would have to be the entertainer.
Yeah.
While also
operating the show. So he was really stressed. Like he doesn't sweat much.
Yeah, he was
But
sweating.
he looked very uncomfortable trying to be like, so
You did good, bud.
Remember when you were in the state Senate? Remember?
Well, I think he was sweating because he farted right before he came in, and that's like his studio.
His studio.
Yeah, he wasn't sure. He wasn't. Sometimes when
I know
you
you're
walk through
joking, but that's probably true.
Yeah. But you're like in there and you don't know someone's coming in. I've been on his side of that glass before where it's kind of you're trying to work, but you're also trying to not make them feel uncomfortable in any way. And there's no chair for them to sit in.
I gave him my chair and I was like, oh, you wanna,
that's all you can do.
sit down?
What also added to it,
my warm chair, sir,
was he brought one of his daughters. He brought his 13-year-old daughter. And so at that point, you're trying to entertain while also not letting her hear stuff she shouldn't that is going on in our studio when we are during commercial breaks. So it's this balancing act. So I get it. Joe, this was your own Vietnam today. You did good.
It was. You handled
made
it
through.
well.
You can tell your dad that you came through.
Interesting discussions between Sean Still and Diane Jackson, but Los has uncovered the opponent, Gabriel Sanchez's personal Twitter.
This guy's a creep.
It is
man.
wild.
Just wow. You want to go into some of that?
When Diane Jackson brings up that she's for the Constitution and she's for just limited government.
And she was quick to say, I want to talk about the things that I'll do. I don't want to just hit on my opponent. I just want you to know. But Los was like, I don't think she realizes the importance of exposing some of this.
If you want to draw a line of delineation, if you want to talk about the woman who spent 25 years in this area, who's worked in business, worked in corporate America, understands what the voter is looking for, in the area of Smyrna, versus a person who actually has a cartoon on their Twitter feed that shows jets with American and Israeli flags dropping bombs on people.
Yeah.
And basically pointing out how Israel and the United States are the enemy.
This guy's a communist and a terrorist.
It's way out there stuff.
Look, this is a guy who, she's 100% right, who is also really behind the domestic terrorists that are taking out Cop City, the Stop Cop City protesters. This guy is exactly who she says he is. And I know she's being nice, and that's what you have to do in politics, and not talk about, your opponent.
But we will, Diane.
But we will. This guy is dangerous. This guy is a threat to democracy. That's what he wants, is to overturn. He doesn't care about the safety. And as we work with the Smyrna police, and as we have people who attack our Smyrna police and our people in Smyrna, we don't want someone like this who wants to give justice to people who don't deserve it. He's worried about incarceration rates. You know what? I am too. You know why? Because these crimes should not be committed.
Because crimes
we shouldn't have incarceration rates. Stop being idiots.
One of the things you will find on his website,
this guy, dude,
and could not be further from when it comes to the values of Diane Jackson. This is a man who on his website is talking about gender affirming care for youths, for under 18 years old. You're talking about severing body parts from children who are confused. And he's an advocate for it. Now, he says it in the friendly way.
Oh, right.
On the website.
Yeah, as if there is a friendly way.
But we all know this is what he's for. Every one of the way out there, not Democrat, not a little bit liberal. We're talking way far out there left beliefs, as far as it gets out there.
Can you believe that exists in Smyrna, Georgia? Because I still struggle with that. And for people that grew up in the state of Georgia, you never expect it to be here, man. We're in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, how could there be things like this where you live? And you must realize that there is. And I think that's the thing that is most eye-opening to me. That I struggle with, Rhino, the most is to believe that is right down the road.
Yeah.
physically right down the road.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's a scary, scary guy to me. I mean, this guy is full of misinformation, a complete lie, and like, man, here he's talking about gas prices going up today and blaming Governor Kemp. Like, this is the delusion of people like Gabriel Sanchez, who should never be allowed near office.
He does advocate for same-day voter registration and drop boxes.
Drop boxes.
Well, reckon why?
Yeah, dropping bombs, killing Jews. Wants to march them all to the sea.
It's strange.
He's full of hate.
Way out there.
Yeah, this guy is full of hate. He's disgusting. And
So when you're making your decision and you have this nice woman who shows up and knocks on your door and doesn't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, and wants to talk to you about, hey, I'd like to earn your vote, don't blindly hit D on this one. All right?
You better not, because there are Democrats out there. Janelle brought it up. Diane brought it up. There are Democrats out there that are good folks. They may see things differently than we do, which is fine. I mean, we all, even in this room, see things differently, and it's okay. And I want you to really take in what Los is saying. This is not one of those things where you just do straight party line, and I know a lot of people do that, Republicans included. They just say, man, if I could just hit a box and it just hit every Republican or every Democrat, I just want to do that, walk in, hit it, walk out. Do not, in this instance, if you are a Democrat listening right now or an independent listening right now, or maybe even a disaffected Republican that just don't know who you're voting for. I don't know that there's many of any of those people out there. But you must take heed to what Diane was saying, what Los was just saying, what Rhino's saying. I'm telling you, this is an important election. Yeah. I don't have
this guy's for squatters. This guy is like upset that squatters
you've dealt with recently.
I've dealt with, and they threaten your life. They threaten your value. They threaten everything. And he's like, oh, we need better balance between property rights and tackling the housing crisis. That has nothing to do with these are thieves. These are criminals who are stealing your homes, you idiot.
Children. This
is
a
crazy person
who's way out there. In fact, one of the things you'll find on his website, and again, you want to draw a line of delineation between who Diane is dealing with and this person. This is a person. Trayvon Martin. Court of law. Was Trayvon Martin murdered? No. The person who did it, although it being a really crappy case, was basically, according to what the state found and what the jury ruled on, was that he had jumped on top of the person who ended up shooting him and was banging his head into the concrete. This person tells you how when my high school classmate Trayvon Martin was murdered simply for being black. That's how he starts his whole discussion of racial justice. This is a misguided, not a liberal, not a little bit left. This is a far socialist, crazy communist loon.
Yeah.
And Smyrna, you deserve better than that.
And I hope you know that, and I hope you take that into consideration. It's so important to really... To really be involved, to educate yourself, to learn. Because, to be honest, I don't know that I knew that before Diane came in and told me.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing you need to understand is this man is part of he loves his AOC, Rashida Tlaib. I mean, this is a squad member junior, right?
Smyrna.
In Smyrna. And you know what? The money is going to get thrown his way because these people want to fundamentally tear down the United States of America. So when Diane Jackson needs help, if you're in Smyrna, and I know that everybody who's listening here is going to go ahead. If you're in Smyrna, I know who you're going to go vote for. You're going to vote for someone like Diane Jackson and not Gabriel Sanchez. But now's the time you need to help her. Talk to people that you know in Smyrna. And if you're listening outside of Smyrna and you have friends, say, hey, get involved. Help Diane Jackson any way you can. Got to keep these people away.
You do. Absolutely. 100%, man. It's unbelievable. Jackson, the number 4ga.org.
And thank you to Sean Still coming in and telling some of those wild stories about what's going on. Like I said, he's in a pretty safe place, but you got to get out there and vote for him.
You're up in North Fulton, especially Johns Creek, that area where he's representing. Make sure that you pull the lever for him, too. Goodness gracious. It's come down to this, boys. It has come down to this. We are in crunch time.
Weeks
Let's
go.
away.
By the way, Rhino already lined this thing out. You got Laura Trump, and next week also Brian Kemp.
We got Brian Kemp.
It keeps rolling all week next week.
Yeah, we got MTG coming in, Rich McCormick coming in, Burt Jones. We're working on timing. I mean, everybody is out campaigning. It's really hard to get these candidates, and I know that everybody wants them on. Sure. We're going to do our best, but we got a lot of big names coming up, so keep tuned in and tell everybody you know.
Please. Please.
The
share
woke
the app.
socialist broadcasting ain't having Larry Trump.
No, they are not. All right, for Rhino Los, for Sean and Diane and Board Up Goey Virgin River, my name is Doug. Y'all come back now, you hear? Hey, it's Tug. The Morning Extra has you covered from 6 to 10, and Kimmer's got you on the ride home.
You know that stupid idea she has of the unrealized capital gain?
Oh, my God. Tell that story.
Your mom purchased her home 40 years ago, paid $50,000 for it, all paid off, which is great because mom is living on a fixed income. It's now worth $500,000. Kamala wants her to pay 25% of that gain, even though she has no plans on selling her home. Now, mom has to take out a $112,000 loan on the home to pay the 25% Kamala unrealized capital gain. Mom cannot afford that loan on her fixed income with rising inflation, so she loses the home she raised her family in and worked so hard to pay off. But don't worry, a big corporation will come in and buy her home and rent it back to her. They said you will own nothing and be happy. Do you now see how they will accomplish that? Drain your savings and tax you out of your home. Capital gains will also apply to your 401, etc. Do a lot of thinking before you elect this woman.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.